commercial when the intro is coming to its end. And we can talk. We're going to be talking to him about that. How he fishes shallow water. How he finds he's out of the way. I think weren't you guys out fishing today?
Kinda.
More like trying to film something. Hey everybody, welcome to Bass University live on Tuesday night. Awesome to have you guys with us. It's going to be a great show tonight. We've got really the hottest angler on the planet with us tonight. Clark Wendlandt, angler of the year. Angler of the year is going to be here, and we also have a very, very special guest host in house tonight, Ben Milliken, YouTube fame. He's an angler that travels the whole country fishing. He's going to be here co-hosting with us tonight. We're going to be talking with Clark and talking about his incredible roller coaster ride. We're going to be talking about fishing all over the country. It's going to be a great show. So hang in there with us tonight. This is all going to get started right now. We've got a great bunch of giveaways, guys. If you haven't subscribed to Bass U TV, our Cyber Monday stuff is still hot. It's still going on right now. It's $50 off or $50 free to come over to Bass University TV. Get over there, get yourself subscribed. And if we use your question on the air tonight, all you subscribers get the chance to do that. We're going to hook you up with some cool Bass U swag. So that being said, let's start. And Ben, you're cracking me up because you're right. The greatest angler of the planet is you. We're glad to have you with us tonight, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on here. I'm excited for this. This is going to be a good time. And I don't know. I love Bass U. I love what you guys are doing. You don't know this about me, but I actually went to one of the very first Bass Universities ever in 2010 in Dallas, Texas.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Woo! That is awesome.
Yeah,
so
it was incredible.
You are a student. I got the inside scoop on that, Ben. So I brought something, getting a little retro. I have our 2010, 2011 old sign. This is the sign that directed you to the class.
That's
in
incredible.
Dallas, Texas, way back then. So,
that's phenomenal. I remember it was Ike and you and Ish Monroe and Fred Rumbanis.
No kidding.
And
That's awesome.
we did it was the most incredible thing ever for me. I was just getting big into tournament fishing then. And after it was just phenomenal. You guys had the tackle shop set up right there in the store, and I had right there in the hotel there, and I had to go spend all my money on tackle immediately afterwards. And then we shared some beverages at the hotel bar, so it was a great time.
Man, that's great. I'm psyched that you were part of the program, man. What a testimonial! And here it is, all these years later, and man, you've done something pretty special in the sport of bass fishing.
Yeah, it's been exciting. It's I was talking to Ike about it a lot today, and it's been a good time.
Man, you started out like coming to Bass University, and do you still tournament fish? I know you seem to be going down that road. What are you doing these days?
I do, yeah. So I would. That's another thing we were talking about. So I started tournament fishing, and my whole plan and goal and everything was to fish professionally, full time. But then you have to get out of school and you have to get a full time job, and you realize you can't just take 8-9 weeks of work off a year. And so I kind of got into. I was still fishing the local stuff, which I do now these days. A lot of local tournaments, usually 10 to 15 local tournaments a year. And then I got into the YouTube thing and figured out I could make a living doing that. And so I really focused on that, went that direction. But now that I'm kind of at the point where I can travel around a lot more and everything seems a little bit more feasible, now I kind of want to get back into the tournament side of things more seriously. But who knows? We'll see where that goes. I don't like being away from the family that many weeks in a row, even though it seems like I am traveling all over. I don't know about the whole 10 days, 14 days, 30 days at a time. So we'll see, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Well, you've got some options, man. That's fantastic, and you found a way to make a living in this sport, and I think that's so cool. I know when I started out, that was my goal, to get out of the office and try to find a way to make a living doing this thing. And it's been quite a few years later, and here we are still doing Bass University, and it's awesome. And I see you're on a path that's really cool. Watched a lot of your videos. Catching all kinds of stuff, man. I love watching the ice fishing stuff because it's so foreign to me. It's like you're fishing on Mars or something.
It is to me too sometimes, but it's a good time, and that's one thing. My heart is definitely in bass fishing, tournament fishing, but we really like to have fun with it and mix things up. That's one thing that I never wanted with the whole desk job situation, was doing the same thing every day. So I like to try new stuff. I put myself in as many uncomfortable positions as possible fishing, and I think that's how you grow as an angler, trying new stuff, new species, and that's something I think people get too locked into doing the same stuff with the same techniques, the same species, the same body of water in this sport, and you can really grow once you expand from that.
I think you're right, because just on a kind of a side note, I striper fish a lot, and I'm able to use a lot of the stuff, whether it's how to use my sonar better by picking those fish off the habitat or triggering strikes from that translates into bass fishing. You can, no matter what you're fishing for, it seems like you can bring that back to bass fishing, and it helps your game.
100%. Yeah, same thing with me with ice fishing. I feel like I've sharpened my electronics game so much. Open water fishing for bass from ice fishing, and even as something as simple as going to a little trout stream and fishing there, you can take what you learn from the way fish set up and position and current and relate that to a body of water with a lot of current and smallmouth. It's the same type of stuff, but you can always draw from different experiences.
I gotta give you kudos too. I watched some of your content, and I love how you infused the sonar stuff in there. Dropping it in a quarter of the screen so that you can see those baits and fish and see everything reacting together. And that's pretty cool viewing.
Yeah, definitely. It's something we're trying to incorporate a lot more. I got Cole the camera guys here in the background, but we're constantly trying to do everything we can to help the viewing experience, and that's really going to take a next level, I think, with our ice fishing stuff. We now have an underwater camera to go along with the Panoptics and the flasher, and we finally figured out the best recording mechanism for the Panoptics on the boat, and so we're finally incorporating that into the videos as well. So anything we can do, I think, to draw the viewers in, and of course, teach anglers and educate anglers. Of course, Panoptics is the hottest thing in the industry right now, but there truly isn't a whole lot of on the water, displays of how fish look. How to use your bait to make those fish bite, and so it's cool that I can do it in a very informal way in my videos on a daily basis. Yeah,
well, it's fun to watch, so go check it out. It's Milliken Fishing over on YouTube, and they can follow you over on I'm assuming Facebook, Instagram, all those other places.
You got it. Yep.
And they're the MFers, right, Rich?
That's right.
People like to get confused by that. It stands for MF, Milliken Fishing, all right?
I like it. And, of course, Rich, good to have you with us. Rich is running the IM boards. And, as always, appreciate you being here tonight. And, of course, we got BTC, the carpenter back there, pushing buttons. How are you hanging out, BTC?
Oh, it's all good, man. Here we are. We're here. You're
got
here.
her up
here.
and running.
Ben's here. Pete's here.
Excellent. Everybody knows everybody. We're
Yeah.
good. Do you have any other special guests in the studio? I heard somebody earlier, but I don't know if they're still there.
Ike and Ellie's hiding over there, mouthing off a little bit.
He's stalking our broadcast.
Yeah, he's just trying to distract us and cause mayhem. That's what he does.
I know.
You know how we do.
Pick up a mic.
Yep. And and Ben's buddy Colt's here.
Oh, okay. Hey, Colt.
Yep.
Is Colt one of your cameramen?
Yep, Coleslaw's the camera guy.
Did you say Colt
Gotcha.
Slaw?
Coleslaw.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Or just slaw.
I
Feel like slaw.
That's dope.
Yep.
That's right.
All right. Slaw. Good to have you. Is he filming right now?
A little bit. On and off.
Okay. I didn't know if he was filming tonight's broadcast or not.
Yeah, we're gonna add some of it. We did a little YouTube video today. Went out in a boat, fished with Ike, and yeah, we filmed some of that. We'll throw some of this footage in there for anyone watching. Of course, on Milliken Fishing, come check out the Bass U podcast here. This is gonna be a good time.
Awesome. Rich, of course, he took off his phone, so I'm going to do some of the promos, guys, right now. We've got the Bass University special still going on, 50 days free, $50 off. Get over and get subscribed, and you can ask questions to Ben, later on to Clark. We're going to have Clark on here in just a few minutes. We use your question live on the air. We are going to hook you up with a lot of that Bass U swag that you see right on the table there in front of Ben. If Brendan can do the Price is Right demo, for us there. There it is. All that good stuff. So we're going to be giving that stuff away. If we use your question live on the air, I see TH Products, I see Rapala Products, and many, many more. We also, if you guys are watching over on Facebook, we have a like and share contest. We will not let you guys be stranded over there. So like it and share this post, and we are going to put you into a contest to win a great prize pack, of which Rich is going to tell you it's typically about a $50 prize pack for all you guys over on Facebook. So in addition to that, we have the great Ken Duke trivia question that we are going to be doing later in the show. It's most likely going to be revolving the Angler of the Year and the Clark Wendlandt scenario. So that is also going to be a great prize pack for that. So hang in there for the trivia question. They're always fun, and it's amazing how sharp our guys are, Ben. These trivia questions that Ken Duke puts together are absolutely amazing.
Yes, from the mind of Ken Duke. It's actually, we've renamed it, Pete. It's stuff only Ken Duke would know. It's no longer trivia questions. It's stuff only Ken Duke would know.
That's right. Except for our audience seems to know them almost instantly.
Yeah.
Ken Duke and our audience.
Right.
Yep. So we got all that stuff going on. Yep. And BTC, we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah. Well, Rich is going to run through some things here, or you just covered it, Pete? I'm sorry,
we have a subscriber that's going to come on the show with us later tonight. Yes. I'm not sure if that got mentioned or not. As always, we got the Facebook like and share. That's going to be over $50 worth of Tackle Warehouse gift cards we're sending your way. And also, we got the Bass University official grand prize, which is going to be a hat, a shirt, a Flambeau box, absolutely loaded with Missile, Rapala, and TH Marine products. So stick with us, guys. Watch tonight's show. It's going to be a good one.
A hat, a shirt, a pterodactyl. Anyone? That was airplane. All right, back to you, Peter.
I got it. All right, buddy. Well, we're going to be right back. We're going to be talking to Ben. We're going to be talking about what he's got going on, and it's going to be open for you guys to ask questions too. Yes. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. If you haven't subscribed, now's the time. Get right over there, get it done. Go over to bassu.tv. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
We're different. Some would say obsessed. There's no place on earth we'd rather be than right here, right now. Performance-driven gear, so you can fish longer, harder. Gill's Performance Fishing.
One thing that's happened that's probably advanced our electronics more so this year than anything that has in a while, C-Clear Power wiring harness. These units are designed to do a certain thing. If you're not getting enough power, enough wattage, enough voltage, they're not going to perform the way they're supposed to perform. C-Clear Power wiring harness fixes that problem. One of the great things about the C-Clear Power harness is It doesn't matter what brand of unit you have. It doesn't matter what kind of boat you got. The thing that you want from the SeaClear harness is power. SeaClear Power puts enough voltage to your units to make them maintain the performance that they're supposed to maintain. So if you're not seeing everything like you think you should see it, SeaClear Power will show it to you.
Hello there.
Everybody, welcome back to Bass University Live. And we got a great show in line tonight. We've got Ben Milliken in studio with us, and we've got Clark Wendlandt, this year's AOY, over on the Bassmaster side, is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. And I want to welcome Gil's Gear to the show. We're all sporting it. It feels amazing. Incredibly lightweight and breathable fishing gear that I'm wearing for the first time on tonight's show, and love it. And I see Riz is looking sharp in his gear.
Looking sexy, Pete.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
And what are you wearing tonight, Brian?
The same.
Ah,
yep.
I see. I'm checking you out over on Facebook. I can't see your image on my PC, but looking sharp.
That's true. Yep.
And we also have a great sponsor in SeaClear Power, Brian, and we've got a great new offer from SeaClear Power that we're just going to start promoting and releasing tonight. And SeaClear Power is an amazing wiring harness for your boat, for your electronics, with all of the amazing forward-facing sonar and the high-powered units that we have. I'm currently running 4 Solixes on my boat, but the SeaClear Power harness is a dedicated sonar harness that is going to eliminate problems. It's going to help your units work faster. And it's really a great system. So if you've got these kind of units and you want to be able to use them to their maximum capabilities, SeaClear.
That's right. And the promo code BASSU gets you 15% off at seaclearpower.com. That's
right.
It's
you
pretty
can have
dope
it
harness.
Yep. You can have it installed new. You can have it installed aftermarket, like Brian and myself did. So
that's right.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. Makes it, my 360 is just crystal clear. So check it out, guys. But we are back. We've got so much going on tonight. And Ben, man, I'm psyched that you're here. You came in a little early. I guess you're going to be doing. I guess you filmed a little bit today with Ike, didn't you?
We did, yeah. My first ever time really fishing in the Northeast. First time. I mean, I went to Washington, D.C. in 5th grade, but besides that, it's my first time as an adult here in the Northeast. First time ever fishing tidal water. So all sorts of new stuff today.
No kidding. It must have been pretty unique experience watching that water.
It was, yeah, especially what we were doing. Ike had told me about this before we even planned this trip. He said one thing we got to do is go flip blade baits in shallow water against dock pilings. So, that's something you do all the time, right? Yeah, he said that, and he said, you can catch giants doing it, and I was like, all right, let's do it. I got to see this for myself. Something I've never done, and that's what we did today. And it was a tough bite, but that's the only way they would eat, and it was crazy. Good time.
Yeah, well, I would have thought maybe you'd be at home with watching you ice fish with all those similar style baits. It probably didn't take you long to pick it up.
No, we picked it up pretty quick. The only problem was we didn't get a lot of feedback from the fish, and the bite window was super short. So it was like as soon as we got there and we started catching them, it was done in about half an hour to an hour. And we were out all day, and it was 30 degrees and blowing. Ooh. So it was a cold one today. But now we got some beers, so it's feeling better.
Yeah, that's
nice.
Right. So you don't throw a blade up in your area often?
So I throw a blade quite a bit. We throw it ice fishing, of course, but when we're fishing a blade, it's more of a structure bait. So we're fishing anywhere from 15, 18, all the way up to 40 feet of water on hard bottom drop-offs, generally when the water gets down below 45 degrees. It's a cold water bait, 100%.
Yep.
So when he said flipping close quarters to dock pillars in less than 5 feet of water, I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
It's unique. I mean, we've been fishing that blade bait like you. Like that's the way we all learn to fish it. It's structure bait. Points, drop offs, deeper water stuff, and I don't even know who discovered it because it wasn't me, but I was told about this
Columbus.
bite. I mean, who would decide to do that? But boy, it works off of the Chesapeake. I've fished it in a lot of places around the country, and I've never been able to get them to do the same thing that they do here. And I don't know why that is, but they definitely do it here. Are you? What's your plans? You guys going to be fishing there again, or some other places?
So it sounds like it's me and Brian the Carpenter tomorrow. Captain Carpenter is. We're thinking some more. Totally doing a 180. We're fishing muddy, shallow stuff today on the Potomac. Tomorrow we've talked about fishing some deep, clean water for both species, largemouth and smallmouth, and potentially other species than that, I guess.
Yeah, maybe some lake trout, maybe some salmons. Who knows?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're thinking about taking a ride north tomorrow, the land of opportunity.
Yeah. Yep. Alabama rig.
They just jump in the boat up there.
Just ask Jay Kumar.
The privileged north.
Yes, he loves that place. Well, are you headed home after that, or are you headed somewhere else?
No, man, we're here till midday Saturday, so we're doing a lot of fishing.
Wow.
Thursday, going out with Ike again. He's thinking, Delaware River maybe, but we're kind of just flying by the seat of our pants. I think Mike likes that too because he's so structured with all his plans and fishing. And right now this week, it's just like, let's do what sounds good and what we want to do, and we'll formulate a game plan from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like the Ben Milliken show.
That's exactly right. It's normal for us.
I like it. What are they doing? But we're going bluegill fishing today, trout fishing through the ice tomorrow.
Exactly.
Catch bass the next day. I like it.
And then Friday night, we're back here in the studio doing an Ike Live show with Ben, and we're gonna get crazy.
Awesome.
Start some trouble.
Yep.
Well, I brought out another Bass University show and tell because this is a cool one. This is from 2012, and I got people to sign this one. And this is Mike McClellan, Gary Klein, Mark Davis, just Ish, Boom Boom, Ike's on there, Brett Height, David Walker. We've got a whole pile of these things.
Super cool.
Yeah, it just reminded me, I was digging out that 2010 sign, and it just reminded me of, man, Dallas was one of the first ones that Ike and I did together. We started doing the Bass Universities probably a year before that. So we were just getting our feet wet with getting the program up and off the ground. And, since we launched Bass UTV, we've kind of, taken off to a different level. And that's kind of, that's where you're at. Your YouTube channel has amazing traction.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been good. I was lucky enough and fortunate enough that I got in it before everybody that had a fishing rod started a YouTube channel, which is the case nowadays. It's very, very saturated. Hard to really make it on YouTube these days.
It's like everybody with an iPhone has a podcast now.
That's exactly right. Just anyone can do it, right?
It's awesome. It's great times. Much opportunity.
It's been good. It grew quick at first, and then it hasn't plateaued, but it's more of a steady growth now. But we do everything we can to kind of provide a better experience now to really keep people engaged and try to get back to as many people as possible these days because every single person matters.
Well, it's you're definitely catering to your fans. I saw that. You're a bass guy. You started out bass fishing. You've done a lot of bass fishing. Where's your favorite place to go bass fishing?
Oh man, I guess I would really have to say Texas. My wife and I are thinking very seriously about getting a place in Texas. I work with Sixth Sense and the owner of Sixth Sense, Casey Sobzak, out of the Conroe area, just north of Houston there. And so we usually go down there in the winter 4 or 5 times when it's too cold. We got ice fishing season. I can't take it. I can't stay up there the whole time. Once again, going all over the place to get different content, but I really love Texas, whether it's winter or, summer. There's so many different types of lakes and bodies of water down there.
Yeah, it is awesome down there. The Classic's going to be down there this year. We're all going to be watching that. Did so you weren't living in Texas when you came to see Bass University? You
No.
traveled down there?
I drove down to Dallas from Omaha, Nebraska, just to see Bass U.
Nice.
Well, it's one of those things
That's
where
awesome.
you guys know how it is when you first get like super ate up with bass fishing and you're trying to absorb all this information. And that was back, before I couldn't just turn on a YouTube video and watch a guy give some tips. And you guys came along with Bass U. And I was already a huge fan of Mike. And I was like, they're doing seminars in person with the best bass pros there are. I can't miss it. And so I tried to figure out what one was closest. And that happened to be 10 hours from home. And did it anyway.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome. Well, we've been doing those for quite a few years. We've been in Texas a few times, and we hope to get back there soon. We're going to be at the Classic this year. So, guys, I know we got a lot of viewers from Texas. It's probably most of our subscribers come from Texas. So we're going to be heading down and seeing all those guys at the Classic this year, and look forward to seeing that. Do you go to the Classics? Do you do any of that stuff with your program?
Several times, yeah. Haven't been for a few years, but went as a fan at Grand Lake because that's only 6 hours or 7 hours or so from my home. So went there both times. Went down to Tennessee. Yeah, generally Sixth Sense hasn't had a booth at the Classic for a while now, so I haven't been down working at it. But the expo is a great time. So. Really hoping they're able to do it in some capacity this year because the Expo is just an amazing event for the sport.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I hope they have it. We're scheduled for March, and if worse comes to worse, they may postpone it out a little bit. And we're all looking forward to doing that and seeing all our people. But right now, BTC is telling me we have an amazing guest in the queue. Is that right, BTC?
That is correct, Peter.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
Well,
Clark Wendlandt is in the queue. I'm going to bring him in, and hopefully everything connects correctly. And how this goes.
You know how this goes, right, Ben?
You know how this goes.
Oh, yeah.
See, there he is. There you go, Pete.
He's connecting to the audio, and there he is. There he is.
There we go.
We got you, buddy. We got you, man. This is
right.
the three-time FLW Angler of the Year, the brand new Bassmasters Angler of the Year, and the All-American champion. One of the rare combination. One of the greatest anglers of all time, Clark Wendlandt.
Oh, man, thanks.
Man, it's good to have you with us tonight, Clark. Man, how you doing today?
Hey, great. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Man, it was a tremendous ride watching it. I don't know. I still see you smiling, so you still must be hanging out on cloud nine.
I actually am. I mean, I can't quit smiling about it. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that you dream about your whole life, and you just, it's like, I got the kind of plaques you got on the wall behind you right there, Pete. I mean, those plaques, those are old plaques right there. I got lots of those.
Yeah.
And so, I've been doing this a long time, but it's something I dreamed about before I ever started, and it came true. It's pretty awesome.
Man, well, you've lived it. It was funny because I was looking at your career as we were getting involved. We knew we were going to have you on, and I'm like, man, we started almost the same time. You probably just a couple years before me, but we fished a lot of the same tournaments. We fished the, top 100s, top 150s, and a lot of those FLW tournaments. We fished together. We go back a long time.
We do. I bet you I've got some of those exact same plaques, just different places that you got on the wall behind you. So, I mean, yeah, I started in 1992, I won the All-American then and started fishing bass that fall.
No kidding. Wow. Yeah, that's a little bit before me. I think I started out in like 95 or 96. Not much, before you. But I was trying, speaking of those plaques, I was researching, and I'm like, I know he beat Clark at one of these tournaments. So I'm looking at your credentials, and I'm looking on my wall, and I could not find me finishing ahead of you. I'm not surprised, but I was disappointed. But it was pretty cool to see that. And you had quite a wild ride. You started out in the Bassmasters, and then you switched over to the FLW. Spent quite a few years over there.
Yeah, I did, and it was really good to me. And it was back in the years when Bass had some sponsor restrictions. Is the reason I fished both for a couple of years. And then there was some sponsor restrictions, and Kellogg's was a big sponsor of mine. And so I decided to stay with them and went FLW. And it was great for a number of years. Won 3 AOYs over there. And so then when the opportunity came to go to Bass, it's like I said, that's the one that I started watching, Bob Cobb back in the day, and Larry Nixon, 7-pounder jumping back in the lily pads. And that's where I always really wanted to be. So I'm excited.
It seemed like that because, you've been here, I guess, 2 years now on the elites, but man, it seemed like it was almost like a rejuvenation that happened in your career. You got re-fired up, Was it like that for you?
Yeah, it actually was. It was a rejuvenation. It's there's something that's funny about, when you really feel like you're doing the right thing, fishing the right league, whether it's fishing the right league or in the, wherever you are, when you really feel like that's the right place, it does something a little extra to you. It just brings a little extra. And I was, I feel like Bass is really going in the right direction. And everything feels good. Last year, tough, people say it wasn't a good year, and it really wasn't. I finished 44th overall, missed the Classic by 2, maybe 3 spots. Had some good events, though. Finished the last tournament of the year, finished 3rd at St. Clair. So, had some momentum coming into this season. And, I kind of hit the ground running. Things just went well.
Man, it was amazing what happened this year. And of course, I just want to, introduce some of the guys that we have here. We've got, of course, we got Ben Milliken, who's with us tonight. He's co-hosting, and we've got Riz, who's handling the IMs in the back there. So all the people that are going to ask questions, throw them your way are here. And of course, you met BTC, who's pushing the buttons for us over here. So.
We were all drinking, Pete, while you guys were doing the intro, so we had to hide the beers and put the headsets back on.
How you doing, guys?
They just send me out there and take advantage of it. But that's all right. I'd rather be talking to you, Clark. And, it was a great ride. I watched it. Of course, I'm loving the live, right? The live coverage that's happening on the tournaments, and nobody does it better than the guys at Bass. And, it was an incredible, you were in a commanding lead, right? And it didn't go the way that we all thought it was going to go. You ran into a brick wall there. And I know you probably talked about it a lot, but with that commanding lead, you headed into the chick and just it took the wind out of your sail. That must have been devastating to go through that.
No, it was. I had a 35-point lead going into the tournament. You get to Chick. Everybody's thinking, hey, great place to fish, one of the top 5 in the country, I think most people would say. And, I get there, and it's a struggle, for me in practice. But I just never could commit to saying, I just got to go out and catch 15 inchers. If I can just catch, keepers, then I'm going to do great. Who would have known that after 2 days, top 20 is 9 pounds a day. And, I catch one good one the first day and nothing the second day. And yeah, it was a bomb.
Yeah. But you did catch that one. And I remember it because they were talking about it. And I saw it. You caught like a 4-pounder, and it was an incredible catch because it kept you close enough.
Yeah, it did. Because see, what happens in that is even though I had that big lead, if you catch, I finished 81st out of 85, so it was bad. Like as bad as you can really get. But if you don't catch a fish, you get 0 points. And so that fish was critical. I would have gotten 0. Instead, I got 20. And so that 20 points was, and at the end was big.
So I got to credit your experience, right? Being able to handle those peaks and valleys and those ups and downs. Because when you come out of the chick, how did you feel? Did you feel like, okay, I still within striking distance, or were you deflated? Where was your head at?
Well, I was real deflated. I didn't weigh in the second day, didn't catch anything. Got in the vehicle, we're 14, 15 hours from home. Patty and I drove all the way home, all straight through all night. Get home. I went, spent a little bit of time with family, and didn't really fish much, but I just, it started. I mean, I kind of look at it now like, I wonder if it wasn't a blessing in disguise, because the pressure's there, not just because, it's AOY and it's the, what you want to win more than any other thing. But it's there because I'm putting it on myself, and I knew I had a really good chance. And so going into that tournament, and then I bomb, but then I'm like 16 points behind, 10 points behind second. And there wasn't as much pressure going into that last tournament. I mean, I felt pressure going into Chick, but it's not why I fished poorly. It's just one of those that just blindsides you. You just, you don't catch them. It happens. So I move on past that, and I at Fork, I just went and fished, and I just fished a good, solid tournament. I caught them. I didn't catch them. Nothing like Patrick Walters, nothing like the guys, and right up in the lead, but I caught them pretty good.
Well, you caught them good, which not good by Fork standards. I guess good by Fork standards in the fall, right? And it was super tough. But one of the things that fascinated me with this run was after day 2, you had the AOY locked up, and your competition didn't have to go on the water on day 3. So all you had it to lose. It's incredible, right? You had to catch them or you lose it. And I thought that must have been a monster pressure cooker. At least in my head, it would have been going crazy as the tournament progressed. How are you feeling?
Well, yeah, it was. I mean, you're right. I had my destiny in my own hands after days 1 and 2. Days 1 and 2, I didn't, but day 3, I did. And what happened was, and you can only imagine fishing as many tournaments as you have, is I was out of fish. I mean, I maximized what I had days 1 and 2. I had 31 pounds, but I'd run out of fish. And so I did go back to that area. I thought, maybe I can catch some in there. You know how you are. You think you used them all up, but you're kind of in the back of your mind, you're thinking, but I decided I wasn't dying in that area. So I fished till like 10:30. I got a 15-minute idle and a 15-minute run, probably some of the loneliest, time I can ever remember in my life. Water's dead calm. I got a judge with me, and I got a camera guy, and I'm running 15 miles up the lake, and the water's dead slick calm. And I mean, the weight of the whole world's right on top of my shoulders. And, I just decided, I just got to fish. I had a good secondary pattern, but the problem is my secondary pattern was what a lot of guys were doing for their primary pattern. And so that water had been getting beat up. And so, but I just committed to it, and, got enough bites to win.
Shoo, man, you did. You pulled it out. And believe me, to me, that was the hardest fishing day of the year, was that day, because David Mullins is sitting at home, and he's like putting the whammy on you, trying to, distract you somehow, I'm sure, and the pressure was on you, but you came through, man. And that's amazing. I saw there's only 25 Angler of the Years for Bassmaster, so you're number 25. Of course, Ike, my partner's, he's won as well. It's quite rarefied air. So congratulations again.
Well, I'm to be honest with you, I'm totally honored. I'm really honored that I had the opportunity to do it, and it was a great year, a fun year. Patty and I traveled together, and we just thoroughly had a fun year. I mean, COVID was there, we knew it, but Bass got us through the season. That was pretty incredible in itself, just getting through a full season. So it wasn't like a check mark on it. We only had 5 events, or we only had 6 events. It was a full season, and those events just, except Chick, they all went pretty darn well. And I'm pleased as I can be.
Man, well, it worked out for you, but did you think it was going to? Because they took all those springtime tournaments away. Well, COVID did, and they had to move everything into the fall. Were you like licking your chops, or like, oh man, these guys have never seen water in the fall, and I know you have, because we used to always fish tournaments in the fall in the early years. So how are you feeling when that happened?
You know, the fall was always a time I enjoyed fishing. I enjoyed those tournaments and had success in them. The real time that I would have said I was licking my chops was after 2 tournaments. We had fished St. John's, and then we fished Eufaula in June. And then we were going to Waddington on the St. Lawrence River, and they changed it to Clayton, New York. Well, Clayton, New York just happened to be the very first BASS I ever fished in 92. September of 92, and I finished 9th in the very first one. And I always loved that place, man. I thought that's the greatest, and I still think it is, to be honest with you. After that 2-week or that tournament, and then we fished Champlain, I went back for 2 weeks and fished 2 weeks more there because I think it's that awesome. And you know, that after that 3rd tournament, I was leading for a little bit, and then Champlain I wasn't, and then I went back into the lead at St. Clair. You know how it is, though. I mean, you got to catch them in every tournament. It's not like it's different than FLW. FLW's got a 200-point scale. So a 200-point scale, a guy can do bad and fall back a long ways. In this deal here, I mean, you just pretty much got to deliver every single tournament, or you're not going to win. I did well enough to where a chick didn't kill me was the one thing that really happened. I caught him in every tournament and basically was top 20 in every one except one in that one.
That's amazing. And yeah, that chick was a tough one. And it's funny you say Thousand Islands was my very first tournament too, but I think it was in 95, and I did not finish 9th. I finished 150th, but it was, it was a shocker. You know, I was full of juice, ready to get after, thought I could win these tournaments. And of course it shocked me, but I had a few good finishes after that, but it was a lot of, I fell in love with Thousand Islands then, and I am in love with it still, like you are. But what we fish up north here, and fishing is amazing in the fall, and it's tough down south. Ben, you're from Nebraska. Is the fishing good in the fall in your part of the country too? It's great in our part of the country.
No. It is not good. It's not great really any time in my part of the country, but the fall in Nebraska and really our area within 4 or 5 hours, it's really similar to kind of the challenges you guys faced on the Elite Series with the fall tournaments this year. So it was great seeing that and really relating it, how much junk fishing goes in, and it proved it's really a struggle that time of year with that transition period.
How'd you get through it? Clark, what was your junk fishing tools to survive the fall tournaments this year?
Man, I mean, it was just like what you said, just pure junk. I mean, Guntersville, I caught them, on shallow grass lines, and I caught them on docks on a jig. Santee, I ended up finding a really good area, which I think that's an awesome place. And I haven't fished it probably in 25 years. I fished an invitational years and years ago there. But man, I thought that was and I know we'll go back there plenty more times. And then Chick, I usually like Chick, but just, this one struggled. Yeah. And then Fork was a little bit different. Fork's never been my favorite place. I've fished it just a couple of times. I fished last year, and then I fished it about 20 years ago. But when I fished it 20 years ago, there was a lot of grass in it. Now there's just timber, really, a little bit of shallow grass, but not much. And it's a whole different lake. I'd never been there in the fall, and found enough fish to do good enough.
Yeah. Well, you did better than everybody else, so that's amazing. And I know there's a lot of people watching the show. Subscribers to Bash U, we're gonna throw you some IM questions from our subscribers, Clark. But if you're not a subscriber to Bash U, go over to bashu.tv, get subscribed. We've got a great cyber promotion still going on right now. And if we use your question live on the air, we're going to hook you up with some cool Bash U swag. And we're about to do that right now. Riz, who do you have in the queue?
That's right, Pete. We're going to go right to John from Kentucky. And John from Kentucky wants to know, how has the competition in bass fishing changed from now till the time you started fishing?
Great question.
Yeah, that is a great question. really, I don't think the competition is that much different. I think, back in the day, we did not have near the tools. We didn't have the electronics. We didn't have near the number of baits. I mean, the number of baits we used to have were just like 6 or 7, a jig, a worm, a crankbait, a spinnerbait, couple different depth crankbaits, maybe a jerkbait if you modified it. But for the most part, I mean, we didn't have all those tools. Now, I think the fishermen are really, I mean, they're better, but they've got better access to information and better access to tools. And so I don't really think the competition's that much different. I think you got to catch them. One thing that I do believe is that youth kind of leads the sport. And the reason is that, when you've got young guys that are hungry and ready to go, like Pete and I were, years and years ago, that's what really drives and picks up guys like me to get up and be motivated enough to want to compete. So I think youth drives the sport.
I love that, and I think you're right. But what I love mostly about it is that you are the oldest angler of the year to date. I don't know if you knew. Well, you clearly knew that, and by a long shot. So it's really cool to see that. What, you're 55 and you're the oldest AOY.
54, but I mean, I don't want to get old too quick. But yeah, I did know that. That's been brought up to me a number of times now. Yeah, I mean, you're really right. One of your first comments you made when we started talking was, it looks like you just kind of got rejuvenated, and I did. I mean, I mean, the one thing that I figured out during, not during the season, but as I reflect back, is that I just didn't get scared off by all the various techniques. I didn't get married into, used to be just a power fisherman, and I love fishing, shallow crankbaits, and, I might throw a spinner bait. But I mean, I've embraced every bait that's out there. I try them, and if I don't think they work for me, then I may never throw them again. But at least I know what they do and what they are. And then the electronics. I mean, electronics play a huge part for all of us in fishing now. And I just, a lot of times the older guys are just scared of them. And I just decided I wasn't going to be scared. I just got out there and figured it out. It took me time, but I learned how to use them and paid off big time.
That's amazing, because I've been guilty of not using them. I get stuck, and I don't pick up that new stuff, and I wait too long, and I pay the price. You get clubbed over the head enough times, and then you finally start throwing it. But I thought it was a great question.
Pete, we probably ought to let Clark know the number of baits that you let sit on the shelf.
It was the Senko and the chatterbait, believe it or not.
And the Whopper Plopper.
Yeah. The Senko, the chatterbait, the Whopper Plopper.
Yeah,
those
yeah, maybe you should have put those in just a touch earlier, Pete.
Those gimmicks, they'll never catch them.
No, they're never going to do any good.
This Japanese nonsense doesn't catch fish here. Never going to work. It's fun. I was hoping you were going to say on that question, what's the difference between, fishing way back then and fishing now, is now that Gluzak's not in the field, it's a lot easier to be. But that wasn't the answer.
Yeah, maybe.
Riz, let me throw it back to you for another IM question for Clark.
That's right, Pete. BTC's stick-on pants would like to know, Clark, how has the new electronics changed the game for you?
Well, the new electronics and kind of what I think the question is. I mean, yeah, there's obviously great mapping and side view and down view. I mean, but live is kind of what we're talking about. And, I use Garmin Live Scope a lot. Now, the way I use it is, it's not like I, saw every fish that I was going to catch during the year. A lot of times it's cover. A lot of times, to me, I've just got it into my game. It's just another part of what I do. When I'm fishing, as I'm fishing, I'm always looking at it. I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at my other electronics too. I'm still looking at mapping. I'm still looking at what's way out to the side of me. I mean, you use it all, and it's just another great tool. It is a great tool, but it's still, it just requires using it and understanding what your what you're looking at.
And that's the deal, right? It takes a lot of practice. You can't just, like I tell guys, lock your rod lockers for a little while is the best way to get to know your electronics a little bit, because it's just not plug and play. You got to be able to interpret that stuff. And it's tricky.
That's exactly right. And for me, you know, I mean, I've had live scope for 3 years probably. I mean, and I've just slowly but surely used it more and more, and it's just part of what I do now. You know, it's you know, it's another tool that I've got to help me catch fish better, and so that's what I do.
Do you still, like, you probably have multiple screens up front, like we all do, like everybody does, but do you still go to 2D sonar? Do you not look at that anymore, or how are you setting that up? Because I've talked to guys that they don't even put their 2D on anymore. It's pure forward-facing stuff for down imaging, and that's it.
Yeah, I still kind of run it all. I mean, normally, and I'm not, you know, unless it was a specific situation, normally I'll run a 4-bank screen on a 12-inch unit. So I'm still seeing mapping, down view. I'm seeing, you know, side view, and then I'm also seeing 2D sonar. You know, every once in a while you just see something that looks a little different on there, and I might know what it means a little differently on there. So, you know, do I use it as much as I use live scope? No, but I still use it.
Ben, you do a lot of filming with the forward-facing sonar, and it's awesome. I watched a lot of Ben's stuff on YouTube. It's great. What do you think is the most important component of it? I mean, you seem to be using it all the time.
Yeah. Two things really. The biggest thing for me is just pinpointing where the cover is that you're fishing. Between that and you know, being able to cast precisely. You know, you can be as good as you want with your GPS and waypoints, but sometimes it still takes 3 or 4 casts to find that little, you know, 2-3 foot brush pile in 20 feet of water. But with Panoptics, you know precisely where it is. You're not wasting any casts, and it's all about being efficient, especially in a tournament. And the second thing is just being able to see if there's fish in the area, whether they're bass, bait fish, whatever. And you can really just you can see the activity level, and it's like exactly like Clark was saying. You don't necessarily, hey, there's a fish over there, cast to it and catch it. You know, everyone would like to think that, but it's not that way. But a lot of times, just, you know, you pre-fished an area maybe a week before or several days before, and you had active fish there. And that tournament morning, you show up, and just being able to know if there's activity in the area, you're able to pan out and see if there's still bait fish in the area. That's huge, and it's not something you can necessarily do with 2D or even with side scan without the forward facing.
Well, it's really cool to watch, and I watch you do it through the ice and a lot of different stuff. And Clark, when you're using it, have you figured out, like, all right, these are bass, these are not bass? Because what my biggest fear is chasing ghosts with that stuff, and I hear a lot of guys doing that, where, you know, you're just running around chasing drum or some other type of fish. How do you handle that situation?
Well, you figure out some things like the size of the images you're actually looking at, but for the most part, the way I use it the most is I still use the same deductive reasoning on figuring out where fish are. Because what you figure out is, especially when you go to a good lake, if it's any kind of good lake, as soon as you put your trolling motor in the water, you're looking around, there's fish all around you everywhere you go. Now, they might be some kind of rough fish, like you said, drum or gar or carp or sunfish or crappie, or, I mean, there's just a myriad of fish in a lot of these lakes. And there's a lot of, you know, white bass and shad, and there's all kinds of fish. So I still use it. I mean, I still figure out where fish are the same way I always have. But when I locate fish and I start getting some bites, then I really can put it to a lot better use then.
Right. Well, it's amazing technology. We watched so many guys do well with it. And I want to go back to a question that, you know, kind of ties into one of the questions one of the viewers asked. Is I was looking back, and you made classics. You've been to 4 classics. The last one was 20 years ago.
That's amazing. I wouldn't have known that, actually. Yeah. I would not have known that. Yeah, I started fishing both about that time, and then ended up with FLW. But and you know, the classic's coming up in March, and really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's maybe the longest span between classic qualifications, of course, because you spent all those years at FLW. I think it's 19 years now. It'll be 20 years when the calendar changes. And are you familiar with this lake? Are you preparing for the classic? What do you think?
Well, I'm not familiar with it. I've never been there. There's lots of lakes in Texas, and I've just never had the opportunity to fish it before. But before the first of the year, we can go spend as much time as we want on it. So I went over there and spent a week. It's deer hunting season here right now. So I went, a couple weeks ago, spent a week there. I'm going to hunt for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and then I'll be ready. I felt like a week was plenty of time. I mean, we're 4 or 5 months before the tournament. So at least I got to see it. I saw kind of how it laid out. I saw what kind of cover was available. But it's going to be a totally different time of year. It's going to be totally different, and I look forward to it. I think it'll be a great challenge.
What do you think they're going to be doing? You think it's going to be a pre-spawn tournament in March, or are they going to be bedding in March? What do you think?
I think it'll be spawn. There'll probably be a few more pre-spawn than there will be spawning, but it's just about that time. It's March, whatever, 18th through the 20th or whatever it is. Third week in March, most of Texas is spawning. That's just the way it is.
Gotcha. Well, how do you feel about that? Are you a guy that excels during the spawn? Because that's a tough time for me.
I've always done well in spawn tournaments. The water clarity is not just great. It's not like a place that you're going to see down 6 feet or something like that. If there's not just amazing amount of rain, yeah, there might be some sight fishing. But I think there's going to be some big ones caught. This place is kind of like Fork in that it's got a lot of bait in it. I mean, lots and lots of bait. And I noticed that just being there. I saw kind of how many shad and how many fish are in it. I don't know how good the actual bass population is. I think it's good, but I don't think you're going to catch 20, 30 fish a day. I think it's going to be more like you catch 7, catch 8, and the winner's got 25 pounds. And I mean, the leader's got 25 pounds. I think it's going to be some big ones, but not just a whole lot of them.
Well, I mean, you don't have much else left to do, Clark, so I think you're going to have to go win this tournament.
Well, that'll be okay. And I mean, I'd love to win another AOY. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, the Classic would be way up there, so that'd be cool.
Well, we'll certainly be watching, and I want to switch over and get into some cool questions from the great and powerful Ken Duke. Things that only Ken Duke would know. I see I kind of stumbled onto some of these already, but Clark, you became the oldest AOY in bass history. 54 years, 8 months, and 6 days. Only Ken would be that specific. He's awesome. Do you know whose record you broke?
No idea.
That's awesome. That's an excellent guess. And that is correct. That is correct. He was 46 when he won it in 16.
Clark, send in your address and you just won a prize. We're just going to send you what do you say?
RTD rod threading device.
It just works great when you're 54 and can't see.
So are we sending these out to the guys to answer and giving out prizes, Brian?
Unless Clark's just going to beast on them all. Yeah, I mean.
Well, I mean, I thought he asked me, so I apologize.
Well, he did directly ask.
Yeah, actually he did, and but no, it's all good. Yeah, but Pete, we could throw some out to some people watching tonight.
Yep, let's do that. Only 5 anglers have been AOY in both bass and FLW. Clark is one. Who are the other 4?
That's a great question.
That is a great question.
That is to the Bass University subscribers on bassu.tv/live. Who are the other 4 anglers besides Clark that have won AOY at Bass and FLW?
As I'm looking at the answer, as I'm looking at the answers here, I would have only guessed one. I wouldn't even got close to this. But a lot of great and super talented anglers out there on this list, obviously. So you're going to go for it again. What do you think is more important, the Classic Trophy or the Angler of the Year trophy?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, they're obviously both awesome, and I'd love to win both of them. But I think most of the anglers would say AOY is the most important one. And the reason I think they'd say that is because it's not just one tournament. It's a whole season. You're battling under, extreme conditions, at 9 different venues. You got to be good at shallow, deep. It doesn't matter. You got to be good at everything to be able to do it. And so I think AOY is the most prestigious one.
I think you're right. I think the anglers would definitely say that the value of the Classic championship is tremendous in the sponsorship realm. And, they're both powerful, but if I had an Angler of the Year title, I would claim that to be the most important as well, which I do not. but Ben, let me throw it to you. You got a question for Clark?
Yeah, Clark. First of all, honored to even be here talking to you. Huge fan. But I guess my question is, everyone that wins Angler of the Year talks about how everything has to come together perfectly for an entire season to be able to win Angler of the Year. And people talk about how they have a couple signature fish catches or something just crazy happens throughout the season, and that just makes the difference for those points that ends up winning the Angler of the Year. Do you have a moment like that you can think of where it just kind of puts you over the top, or you're like, wow, this is really coming together, this fish catch sealed the deal for you?
Well, obviously the very last fish I caught the last day at Fork was probably the one that sealed the deal the most. Because I knew how many pounds I needed. And so I caught that was almost a 2-pounder. It got me to 7 pounds, and I felt like I was going to win. But as far as things that happened during the season, I had 2 different fish catches during the season that were both good ones, like 3 to 4 pounders. One of them was at Guntersville the 3rd day. Skipped under a dock, made 1 skip, caught a 4-pounder, and it moved me up several places. And then I had another one at Santee Cooper, same kind of deal. Last cast, vibrating jig, and I get a bite, and it's like a 4-pounder, 4.5-pounder, biggest one I caught that day. So obviously was a big fish. I culled and took off and ran in. But really, the thing that happened that was the most impactful was at Santee Cooper. The last day I fished, I was coming in, and that's a gigantic lake. You guys know, it's huge. Monster. And it had started blowing just a little bit. Well, I was in a big swamp, and it totally quit. And so I was thinking, well, heck, it had been calm every other day. It was no big deal running back. Well, I get out there, and there's 3 and 4 footers, and it was nasty. Really bad. And I was actually following Frank Talley. He didn't know it. We were both doing it at the exact same time. And we beat our boats to death, and I made it by a minute. And there was a bunch of other guys that had the exact same issue. It wasn't just me, but just making it in there got me some points, and that helped me win for sure.
That's crazy, and great question, Ben. And I read in one of the Bassmaster articles that you caught a fish on the last cast in 2 of those tournaments, Santee being one of them. Yeah. That had to be a sign, man, things are going my way.
Well, and they were going my way, but you just know how easily you can lose it. Just like Chick. All of a sudden Chick happens and I'm behind. You just have to do good in every tournament. Guys are going to catch them. And so, we know that. And especially going to lakes like we go to, they're so good. It was amazing. So I got a question for your guys.
Talk to us. What do you got?
All right. What was the most 20-pound stringers caught by one angler for the entire season? And how many was it? Who caught it, and how many 20-pound stringers was it?
Ken, this is for you, Ken. Ken's going to have that answer for us for sure. But this is this season or any season?
Was it Clark? Was it you?
Yeah, it was me.
Wow.
Love that.
That's awesome. Pete, you see that? That's one of your moves.
But how many was it?
5.
No.
Well, am I supposed to tell you the answer, or are we going to wait for somebody else to get it?
No, I'm cashing in here. Normally, I'm the one delivering the questions to the message board, and everybody answers them all the time. So I'm cashing in here. 5.
You are.
I'm
Okay.
waiting.
It's hard to tell the message board if they're right or wrong. They don't know the answer.
I'm guessing more than 5. I'm guessing it's got to be. Well, you St. Clair, you always crush them there, and that's 4 days of 20-pound bags.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So probably 8.
Yeah, it's got to be up there.
St. John's.
It's got to be closer to 10. I'm thinking it's either 9 or 11. I'm going with 9.
It was actually 8.
8.
8. And there was actually a bunch of people that had 7. So, yeah, it was. But I mean, somebody told me that the other day, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool trivia. So
Yeah.
that shows you how good the fishing was for the year.
That's funny. Well, I have a trivia question. It comes to us from Jeff Kirby on Facebook, and I won the Rookie of the Year in '97. And the question is, who did I beat out for second place in the Rookie of the Year title?
Am I supposed to answer that?
I'm waiting for guesses because nobody's going to get it because Jeff says it was Christopher Columbus.
That's what I was going to say. Damn it.
Jimmy Hoffa.
No, it was
Moses.
Yeah, it wasn't the 1600s, but it was close, Jeff. It was close. Thanks for the feedback. We got lots of great feedback. We have Linesh Mungaru from South Africa that watches us, and we get a lot of people from South Africa and a lot of different parts of the country that watch Bass U, and we're very privileged to have them all. Rich, does nobody have Ken Duke's answer yet on the Anglers of the Year?
We do not have an answer yet.
Man. Clark, do you have any guesses?
Yeah, I got guesses.
And we have a winner. Just now came in.
Wait a second. Let's let Clark guess at it before
All right.
you give away the answers. Who are you guessing, Clark?
So is it 5 including me, or is it 5 others besides me?
It's 5 including you, so there's 4
Okay.
you have to guess.
Okay, so Denny Brower,
Ding, ding, ding.
Kevin Van Dam,
You are correct.
Greg Hackney,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Ellis.
Ah, I got him.
Damn.
Got him.
Aces.
Hey, my wife's sitting right next to me helping me, so I gotta tell you, she actually got Jay Ellis. I have the rest.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's unfair. So whose prize did he steal? He gets another.
It was I cheated. I'm sorry.
The winner of that question was John from Kentucky. John from Kentucky, congratulations on your only Ken Duke answers trivia question.
Things only Ken would know.
Yeah.
From the mind.
Things only Ken would know.
That's right.
We've got another one. Let's hit him with this one. Who is the oldest angler to finish top 10 in Bass AOI? Who is the oldest angler to finish top 10 in Bass AOI? I might have guessed this one, but it might have got me tricked too. But that's well, it's gonna are you gonna hang in there for this? Are you gonna go the way of Rick Clunn and just never retire? This is it. You love this, and what's next for Clark Wendlandt?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm loving it right now. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you have a good season, you can't help but love it. But yeah, I mean, it's just Patty and I. You know, our kids are married and got thinking about starting families. So we're just enjoying going and I mean, I'd like to think I'm going to do it for a while. I mean, I'm competitive right now, so I mean. I don't know that I'll be doing it in my 70s, but I'm not going to rule it out.
Well, you've been doing this quite a while, but you're old enough where you probably did something before this. What did you do before you started fishing?
No, fishing's all I've ever done. I
No
started
kidding.
guiding right out of school, and then started fishing. You know, back in those days, it was Red Man, and then I won the All-American. I fished regional tournaments, you know, because that's just what there was. And you know, once I won the All-American, my wife, you know, was a lawyer or became a lawyer, and she kind of carried us for a little bit, and then. When we had kids, I was finally doing good enough, and she got to stay home with the kids, and I fished the rest. Here I am.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a long time. That's what, 30 plus years out there fishing?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, 28 years of fishing, you know, elite level tournaments. So, yeah, I guess that's pretty good.
What was the alternative if this didn't work out? Where were you headed?
There was no alternative. I mean, at least in
No-
my
no
mind, I'm sure that my parents and probably Patty thought, yeah, well, he can figure out something else to do. But I didn't ever think there was anything else.
That's awesome. The no safety net. There's something to be said for that, right? You know, if
the pressure pushes you when it's like that. So that's pretty much the way it was.
Man, that's incredible. I remember times early in my career where it was tough. I mean, you know, sponsorship was tough to get. You had to experience that too, because we were up against these guys, right? Brower, Yellis. We had Fritz in his heyday. You were fishing there with him. Man, it was hard to break into the sponsorship game at that time. They had everything all locked up. How'd you manage?
It was tough. You know, just like we all do. I mean, you know, sleep in your truck, you know, pinch pennies everywhere you can. You just got to love it, man. That's got to be in your blood. It's got to be a passion of yours. If it's not a passion, then there's too many obstacles. You know what I mean? I mean, I know you know, but it's just too many obstacles. So, and I think even on a guy that's coming up right now, it's really the same way. Yeah, he's got a lot more information. He's got a lot more tools to use, but it's still going to require just this, you know, passion for the sport that says, this is just what I'm going to do. And I think those are the guys that are going to make it.
Where does yours come from? Did your dad take you fishing? I mean, how did you know? When did that light go off for you?
Well, my grandfather and mom and dad, we all fished and hunted. We just spent time in the outdoors. So I spent a lot of time in the outdoors. But really the competitive part of it, I mean, I'm a really competitive person. I got that from my mom and my grandmom, and also on my dad's side. My dad wasn't that competitive. But, you know, with all of that said, about when I was in high school, a junior in high school, I went out with a guy by the name of Jody Jackson that just, you know, he was just a kind of a local good fisherman about my age. And he just showed me, I mean, he's skipping up under docks. I mean, he's doing things that I just didn't even know you could do. I mean, you know, and I just like thought that was awesome. I mean, that I can actually cast well enough to get my bait where 99.9% of people can't do and catch a bass. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. So from that point on, I knew of people like Rick Clunn and Roland Martin and Jimmy Houston and, you know, Kevin Van Dam was starting about that time, and Jay Ellis, and just some of those kind of icons of the sport. And they were making a living doing it. I mean, why couldn't I? You know, I mean, you know, that was I was naive. I was real naive, but, you know, it worked out.
Man, well, it worked out in a big way. And you got to make that sacrifice. You gotta love it. You got to have that passion, or it's not going to work. And I want to throw this over to Ben, because Ben, I'm sure it's the same for you. I mean, you made a transition from a work into fishing and doing what you're doing with television. Man, I guess guys that are going through that are doing the same thing, sleeping in their truck and just making a commitment to, you know, loving this sport.
No, 100%, man. Same exact story. Like I said, I started the tournament side as well. And a lot of nights spent at the boat ramp in the truck, and it's just for a love of the sport, and you got to grind in this sport to make it anywhere. And it seems like once you get some connections in the industry, things are kind of downhill from there. But it's extremely hard to get into the industry to the point where you can make a full-time living at it, and then you got to work super hard to stay at it because it's more popular now than ever from all different sides for people to want to come in and be in the fishing industry full-time.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I remember starting out, I had a used Dodge that was a manual transmission that I would burn clutches out trying to get the boat launched. I had a Nitro, used Nitro. That's what I went out on tour with in the top 100 was about a 5-year-old manual Dodge and about probably a 10-year-old Nitro boat. But that's you gotta love it, man. You gotta be willing to make that sacrifice because it's in all of us. Randy Blaukett said this before. It's like I was watching some of his YouTube stuff, and he's like, once it gets in your blood, it's always there. And I feel it now. And man, it makes me think of you, Clark, because I stopped and I'm building Bass University, and it's amazing. But I kind of got away from fishing, and I feel right now, and you're inspiring me really, that I want to get back, and I'm planning on 21 to fish a lot of tournaments because once it gets in your blood, it's just never going to leave.
Yeah, there's just something about it. I mean, you just, that's what I love to do. I mean, it's what I enjoy. It's what I'm good at, and I can't say enough for it. I think anybody that really, really loves it, and it doesn't really matter what level, I've always thought when I quit fishing tournament at the elite level, I'm going to fish tournaments just like Denny Brower does. I mean, Denny Brower's down on Amstead and he still fishes team tournaments all the time, or whatever he can get in, he just doesn't want to travel. So, I'm going to always fish tournaments. I feel sure of that.
Well, you've been on the road now for 30 years or so. Tell me a story. The truck blew up, the boat got unhitched, you lost, somebody broke into your vehicle and stole all your tackle. Got to be some craziness that's happened out on the road.
Well, really, all of those things have happened. I've had welds break on my trailer and the boat's going sideways. And if you drive long enough out there, you're going to have some crazy, crazy things happen. The craziest thing that's ever happened to me fishing was I was at the Potomac River, a place I know you enjoy fishing, and I made the top 10 or 12 or whatever it was at that time. Probably was a top 100 or top 150 tournament. And I'm throwing a Bandit 100, a little small square bill around trees, and I get about a 3.5 pounder on in a tree, and he gets me down in that tree and cuts me off on barnacles, which is, now we're dealing with zebra mussels. Back then it was barnacles there. And so, and when he broke me off, I wasn't that mad about losing that fish, but I was really mad about losing my crankbait because you know how it is. You start getting bites on one, you want that bait, And so I start, and man, I hope that fish jumps and throws that bait. I hope he jumps. And I go up about, probably 15, 20 feet, and the fish breaks water right to the right of the boat, probably 7, 8 feet away. And he slings that bait up and it lands on my deck. I'm not kidding you. It happened exactly like that. And I reached down and grabbed the bait and tied it right back on. And so, I'd already put another one on, but that's the craziest thing I can remember happening.
Man, that's pretty awesome. And that's the crankbait you used for the top 10.
That's what I used for the top 10. That's right.
Bandit 100s. You remember those, BTC?
I do. I never really threw the Bandit 100 that much, man.
I was
a Norman guy. Back.
Normans were big in our crew, and one of the guys in our crew was a Bandit guy, Solely.
Yeah, that's the only reason I know about.
That's why I started buying them, because Brian would talk about Solely throwing Bandits, and I found one place in South Jersey that still had some, and I bought a bunch.
Yeah, dude, they got a little body that gets down.
Yeah,
they got a It gets down.
Shout out to Francois. They still got some on the wall. They probably won't by Monday now, but
I got some bandits, but that was never really my deal. I was a Norman guy back in the day.
Yep. Well, that bandit is special because it has a small body, but it can get deep. Not the one you were throwing, but those deeper diving models. Yeah. But I did good on that particular crankbait out at Lake Mead one year, which is a weird place to do good with a crankbait. But I just wanted to ask you the question because I don't have it here. Is you won the All-American? You won it when you were relatively young. Where did you win that tournament?
That was in Muskogee, Oklahoma. And it was fishing the Arkansas River.
Arkansas.
We could fish 3 pools of the Arkansas River, and I fished the upper pool. But yeah, I mean, I'd never been there before. I spent a week or so practicing, and things just went my way. It was one of those good tournaments.
Was it $100,000 then?
Yep, sure was. 100,000 in '92. That was in the summer. I don't remember what month, but I had already signed up for bass, and back then that was an invitational. And so, I started fishing bass in September of '92.
Well, 100,000 then was like probably $10.2 million today.
Well, maybe not quite that much, but it was pretty good.
That's a really good lick. It's interesting and almost, and this reminds me of Ken Duke again, because he talks about some of the stuff in bass fishing, like trying to move our sport forward. That tournament still pays out $100,000 a lot. I remember when you and I first started, we would fish those Bassmaster tournaments I won a boat for second or third place back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first tournament, the second tournament I fished was on the Potomac, and I took second place, and I won a Ranger boat.
No, that's awesome.
For second place.
For second place.
And this is why Ben went to YouTube. Right?
That's exactly right.
Damn right. This ain't the first time I heard it.
Yep. Well, it is cool that we'll see what Bass does, and I know the MLF guys went to no entry fee. We don't know what's happening. I'm hoping for a surge, man. Once we come on the other side of this virus and things open up, man, I really hope that we're going to have like the Roaring '20s, just explosion, where we're all back, we're all economy's all open, and things are going the way we want it to, because it seems to be going in that direction. So I'm hopeful for that, and I'm hopeful that we can come down and see you at the Classic for sure. But Riz, nobody has gotten the oldest angler to finish in the top 10 in a bass AOY.
Actually, they have. We have a winner for that. ADub 21 got that answer correctly with the answer of Roland Martin. Roland Martin at age 62.
Yep. It's got to be Rick Clunn or Roland Martin, right? It's got to be one of those two. But 62, that's amazing. And then, like we were talking earlier, Rick Clunn's won in the 70s. I mean, how old was he when he won his last term? Was it 70, 71, 72? I can't remember. Can you guys remember?
I don't even know exactly, but he's impressive. He was the one that really, as far as a fishing mentor, the guy that I looked up to the most as a fisherman. And I know a lot of people can say that got in about when I did. But he just, man, he was a machine, and he just has kept himself really fit. He's very sharp, when you talk to him, and he's really not all that different than he ever was. He's a hard-nosed competitor that works hard. He had good success at Fork. The first day he caught that big giant string, and I mean, he can catch big ones, that's for sure.
Man, they did. He was cranking that giant square bill on Fork, and what was he, like 29 pounds? I think that was it, right?
Yeah, it was. It was big. It was a big bag. I know that. So yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yep, it's great to see, and shout out to Rick Clunn, and it's he's an inspiration to many of us. Do you want to hang in for one more question, Clark?
Let's do it.
All right. Who was the youngest angler to finish in the top 10 in a bass AOY? Who was the youngest angler to finish in the top 10 in a bass AOY? That's a great question.
Am I guessing on that one or not?
You can guess.
Go ahead.
Riz, don't give the answer away. Let Clark guess
Go ahead,
before
Clark.
the answer.
Fire away.
I'm going to say KVD.
And not correct.
Oh.
Not correct. You know, when you think of this guy, there's like two guys that I think of that started super, super early. And he's definitely one of them. He's a West Coast guy.
Yeah, when I think of this guy, I don't think of Young. So it goes back a ways.
Yep. This happened
I have no idea.
way back.
Way back.
We're gonna give away a prize, BTC. You're in charge of this stuff.
you got it?
So.
No, I don't have it. I'm just reading your notes, and you clearly made a typo in the notes, and it's hilarious.
I did.
Yeah.
Which page?
Oh man, it's for this question.
For this question?
The typo for this question is, I saw it too. It's like the youngest angler to finish in the top 10 in Bass AOY finished second in 1879.
That was back when Pete was still fishing out of the sailboat.
No, that wasn't an accident. That's just me having fun, but yeah.
I had just graduated college
That's
that
right.
year.
What'd they call it back then, Pete?
the best fisherman. I don't think they had an AOY title back then.
And we have a winner.
Oh yeah.
All right, who is it?
We have a winner. This winner for this question is John from Kentucky with the answer of Gary Klein.
Kentucky all up in this.
Yeah, Kentucky's coming in hard. Yeah. Gary Klein.
Yeah.
Makes me
Gary
want to drink
Klein.
whiskey.
No.
How old was he?
He's 21 years old.
Fresh-faced
Youngest.
kid.
Yeah, back in the 1800s.
Back
Powdered
in the
wig and all.
1800s, he was 21. Sorry, Gary. But if Ken wrote it in our notes, it must be true.
That's right.
I'm going to hit you with this one real quick because I think this is interesting. Clark is only the second Bass AOY born in Texas, Travis, Texas.
Wow.
Who was the first? Who was the first Texas angler to win AOY? That's it. Who else was born in Texas? They don't live in Texas now. Because I know this guy.
Sam Rayburn was born in Texas.
Is that true?
Rick Klein.
Nope, not Rick Clunn. But in his era with Rick Clunn, along that same time frame.
He has an iconic laugh. Not Pete Klusik's laugh.
Not me.
No, you have that Tonight Show laugh.
Yeah, I have the Ed McMahon.
You got the Ed
McMahon. Most people watching don't know who that is either. But we just had him on the Ike Live show stalking us in the Zoom call.
We did.
That's another clue for you guys. Nobody. Do you have a guess, Clark?
I don't know.
Let's hear the question one more time, Pete.
This is the second. Clark is the second Bass AOY born in Texas. Who was the first? Born in Texas, AOY. The first AOY angler born in Texas.
Oh, we have a winner on the message board already.
All right. Who is it? We don't have a guess.
Pete's White New Balances got the correct answer of Jimmy Houston. Pete's White New Balances. Good work.
Hey, don't make fun of my 504s. They're a big deal. They're a big deal, guys. Hey, this is awesome. Clark, appreciate you hanging out with us. Man, it's a lot of fun. And I'm saying proud of you doesn't sound like the right thing to say, but man, I feel that. And, I'm thrilled for you to win the AOY. And, thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Well, listen, guys, I sure appreciate you having me. I've been looking forward to doing this for a good while, and I know we've talked about it numerous times, but it was an honor to win for sure. And I'm humbled by it, but looking forward to the Classic and next year also. So thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming, and I know we've tried to get you in Bass University, and our schedules couldn't get worked out. We want to have you as an instructor for Bass U, and we're gonna make that work out somehow. So,
but Clark, we want the pre-AOY rate.
That's perfect. We can do that.
If we could still be held to that.
Yep. Thanks for negotiating that, BT. And thanks so much, Clark. Have a great night. Clark Wendlandt, 2020 AOY. Thanks so much, Clark.
All right, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Have a good night, buddy.
You too.
Hey, that was incredible. Fishing such a storied career. Won so many AOYs. Now he's won over on the Bassmaster side and rejuvenated. Like he was rejuvenated coming in. Now he's won it, and you can just see it in his eyes. Like Ben, this guy's going to fish for another 10 years.
Yeah, no, he definitely had a lot of juice tonight. That's for sure.
Man,
that's for sure, yeah.
It's got to be. It's the way you feel, right? You come off of a big win, like Riz winning, the BFL Super Tournament this year. He's going to be fishing BFLs for the next 10 years.
That's the plan, I guess.
That's everyone's goal, isn't it?
First two are on the home pond coming up, 2021, Pete. I don't know if you saw the schedule yet, but we got Flats BFL stop number 1 and Flats BFL stop number 2. So I'm definitely fishing 2 of them next year.
Flats on flats.
Outstanding. I think I'm going to jump in them. I really liked fishing that BFL, that you won, and I didn't do so good in the tournament, but I enjoyed, fishing that tournament and, connecting with all the guys and seeing everybody. And I think I'm going to try to fish, some more of the BFLs and some of the Federation tournaments in the upcoming year. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I want to give a shout out to JK. Justin Kimmel is down in Florida on the Harris chain. He's competing for a slot at the Bassmaster Classic this week, and I think his tournament starts tomorrow. He just won the All-American on the co-angler side, and he's just took a 6th place in the FLW Toyota Series on the co-angler side, and now he's fishing in a team tournament and down at the Harris chain, and he's got a chance to make it to the Bassmasters Classic. It's unbelievable. So,
yeah, that's incredible, man. That's awesome. He's had a hell of a year, dude. He has had a hell of a year, no doubt.
Have you ever fished on the co-angler side, Ben?
No, I haven't. Never been interested in it. Obviously, it's a great learning experience for a lot of people. I wouldn't say I'm like a control freak on the water or anything like that, but I have a hard time wrapping my head around being at the mercy of a boater.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I haven't jumped in.
There's no apologies necessary. It's brutal.
Yeah.
It takes a particular mindset. I feel like you're almost better off never being on a trolling motor and being in the front of your boat, even at a club level, because it is rough, man. It's tough. I find myself just, constantly thinking about boat positioning and where we should be, and it's rough.
Yeah,
it's easy when you're in a boat with a guy that's knows what he's doing.
The difference between a team tournament and fishing as a co-angler is like so astounding. And I stepped away, but I heard your conversation, and when you're at the mercy of your co and you or your boater rather, and you it's going to be a long day. That's a kind of a rough feeling. But in the same sense, when you're fishing a team tournament and you believe in and you trust the guy that you're on the back of you're on the back of their boat, and all you got to think about is that cast, there is something to be said for that too. And your thought process goes in some really different directions when you're not on the trolling motor and you're not looking at your graph and you're not looking at your GPS and you're not thinking about the next spot you're going to do. The feeling and the connection that you have with your bait when you're fishing like that, it's really different, you know, and there's something to be grasped and taken from that too. And what I've noticed with these co-anglers,
when you're with when the guy in front of you, your partner, knows what they're doing.
Yes,
they're
exactly.
They're dialed. They're putting you on it. Then you're at a. You're good.
It seems like the the co-anglers like Justin that are successful across the board, they just always seem to catch them. And kind of what I've taken from just looking at that from afar is like you're around fish way more than you probably think, because like the good co-anglers, they usually catch them. Even if they have a bad draw, like they'll figure out how to get 2 or 3 bites throughout that day. So I just think it goes to show you there's fish around you a lot more than you think there might be, and if you can outthink them, you can get a bite.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Rich, and great way to look at it, because that's not how I look at it.
Yeah.
What the hell are we here for? You just prop watch the dock. Why should I even cast? You idiot.
Hey, it's tough, and I've seen guys, and I've talked to JK about it. It's like when you got a guy that's not on anything, his confidence is almost blown. So he may fish past fish that are very, very catchable because he's not dialed. And JK is like he's great at this, and I've heard him do this a number of times. When they're not catching them, the boater will say, "Look, man, I got nothing. If you have any ideas or strategies that'll work, let's go to them." And JK will he'll pull up the mapping on the guy's units, and he'll, based on maybe his practice or what he saw the day before, and he'll pick out a spot or two to go try. He did that at this Toyota tournament. And he's like, look, we went and fished bluff ends or something. Let's go find some bluff ends. And he picked some out. And they went and fished them, and he wound up catching the fish that he weighed in the tournament off of those kind of places. So
that's real cool.
Yeah, he's found a great way to be successful there, and tremendously successful. Want to wish him the best tomorrow. Him and his partner Matt in the Bassmaster Team Championship tournament down on the Harris Chain. Yep. And we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah. So Pete, to follow up on what you were saying, and maybe you were getting to this, maybe you weren't, but the guy that won the tournament from the co-angler side that Justin was just at, Matt Greene. Matt is going to come on with us, pop in with us right here after the break. And Matt did it a very, very cool way for a co-angler. So,
yep.
Real cool.
He's a West Coast guy using a West Coast strategy to win that Toyota, FLW Toyota Series co-angler, part of the tournament. And he's going to be on with us here shortly. So hang in there. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more Bass University.
Moment on the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse. Everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game.
Giant.
Some have been more successful than others.
Giant.
The finesse fingernail happens every time. The chain gang.
Broke it off.
The crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter.
Not good.
Motor oil.
Gotta keep the rust off all these baits.
WD-40.
Keep the rust off.
Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips, the list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle, I fish fast, I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau Tackle Storage Systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. the infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned, American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.
A half, then joined the Navy. And then,
Yo, Pete.
We are back. We are back, Matt. Me and Matt are having the Bash U Live show be, while the commercial break was going on. But it's we're back live. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. What a great interview with Clark Wendlandt. Appreciate him making the time. And we've got another guest. I know we built him up before the break, but he's the winner of the Toyota Series Tournament Co-Angler Division, using some amazing techniques, and he's got a great story. We got Matt Greene with us tonight. How are you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm doing well. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, Pete. Chris.
Well, it's great. I'm super psyched that you could make the time to come and hang out with us. And it was a great win, because Justin Kimmel, when we just talked about fishing in the Co-Angler Division, bumped into you, and you guys started chatting it up about Bass University, and then we absolutely had to have you on the show, and because you're part of our family.
Yeah. We so in the mornings they line all the boats up, and he was in 4th place and I was in 3rd, and I saw that he was wearing the Bass U hat, and I just said, "Hey man, you're a Bass U fan. How do you like it?" And he said, "I like it a lot, man. Are you one too?" I was like, "Yeah, I've lived all over the country, so it's helped me a lot acclimate, and I really value the content." And he kind of looked at me funny. He said, "That's my baby. That's my brainchild." So let me get your contact information, and I'd like to talk to you some more about it. Maybe we'll get you on, because we've been looking to have more testimonials about positive stories from Bass U. So yeah, that's how I started.
That's great. That's great. And you won the Toyota Championship tournament. It was amazing. What did you win? You won a Phoenix boat, right?
I did. Yeah, I did. I won a boat, and luckily enough, I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna get it to California and extend my leave and do all of that. But the guy I fish with, Chris Malone, is a Phoenix dealer in Ironton, Ohio.
That's right. Yeah.
So with his winnings, I convinced him to buy it from me, so I could just take the check home with me instead of drag the boat.
That's awesome. Well, that's absolutely perfect. I remember. Yeah, he's a big Phoenix dealer, and he won a pile of cash too. Did you get top dollar out of him?
Yeah, we haggled a bit, but yeah, I did. I got a fair price.
That's good. That's good. I thought that was really cool, because we were talking about, like, the first boat that I won was a real boat, like, it wasn't a certificate like they give away now. And you had a boat, so you had to figure out how to get it home, which was a really cool problem to have, like you just had. But boy, you figured that out fast.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. When I was standing in the weighing line, and they were asking me what I'm going to do with this boat and how I'm going to get to it before I even weighed the fish, it started to hit me. It was hard to contain my emotions at that point, because it isn't over until all the fish are weighed. So I was trying to not get too excited too soon.
Well, it was a great win. It was really cool, because he gave you props because you were his partner,
Yeah.
And you brought a unique technique. Well, I'll let you tell us about it, because it's a West Coast thing. That's where it came from. But you brought a really cool technique to win this tournament. What were you doing?
So during my research for this place, I learned that they have trout and gizzard shad, but the predominant species is smallmouth. So they'll eat larger baits. And with the clearer water, like in the Highland impoundment, I thought, like, topwater swim baits, waking a swim bait or a glad bait may play, because it's fall and most fish are shallow. They're not quite out deep yet. So I brought them with me, and I always had them with me every day. I brought 2 big rods, one with an Alabama rig and one with a glad bait, as with my other crankbait and drop shot and the finesse rods in case I need to get a limit. The the first day of the tournament, we fished upriver where the water is very dirty. And I tried it a few casts. I tried the glide bait and I tried the A-rig, and it didn't seem like they were biting. So I just caught the couple that I did catch the first day on a drop shot, just swimming it back to the boat because my boater was just burning the bank. On day 2, we fished the mid-lake region, and the water's a little clearer, fishing main lake bluffs and points. And my boater caught a couple, but I tried the glide and I tried all the other normal techniques, the A-rig, the crankbait, and wasn't getting bit. We went a little bit further south and we got back into the first pocket off of main lake, and my boater flipped his jig 4 or 5 times to this laydown. And then we went past it and I pitched my glide bait over there and did 3 twitches, and a 4-pound smallmouth came out and choked it.
Whew.
Yeah. And then that kind of started it because my boater got mad that he didn't bring any of his. So I told him, if I catch any more, if I catch my 5, I'll give him this. And then we went not even 20 feet, and I had another 2 and change come out and eat it and didn't hook up. And then we went another 30 feet, and there was this massive boulder, and I twitched it down the side, and I had another 2.5 or 3 pounder come up and eat it. But as I was reeling him in, he gave me a little head shake right at the boat and pulled off. And then we went around the pocket, around to the next pocket. He caught one, and then I had a 4-pounder come up and follow it. And then I caught a 4-pound largemouth on a point, and then I caught one more 2-pounder. So I had 4 bites and caught 3 the first day, all in the last 3 hours of the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
Then the final day.
That never happens, by the way, on a glide bait, right? The glide bait is the thing that you throw all day and maybe get a bite on, and you crushed them that day.
Oh, that's the second day. The third day was bananas. The absolute bananas. The last 4 hours of the day, I was getting bit, seeing one, or having a follow every 10 to 15 minutes, and they were all 3, 4, 5 pound smallies. It was bananas. I hope they showed the video because I didn't see the live and I haven't found the live replay. They were coming out of the water to T-bone this thing, like 2-3 foot out of the water to smash it. Fishing behind Chris, and he was getting bothered that I was having so many larger fish bites because he thought he was behind with what he had, because he had 12 pounds and I ended up weighing 3 for almost 11.
Wow.
But he caught his fish within the first hour and a half of the day, and then I got my first bite. I want to say at 11 is when I caught the 4.5 pound smallie, and then after that it was, like I said, every 20 minutes or so I'd see one. I got the baits here if you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, please.
Please.
We're all waiting. We're all waiting for where to stop so we can see these baits.
So the Gancraft 178 and then the S-Waver 168, they're bite size, right? Because they're smallmouth, and I was fishing for mostly smallmouth. So
put them a little higher. There you go.
They're like 6-7 inches long. So I use this translucent color down south where the water's a little clearer. And then the third day, I tried this white 168 because the mid-lake area, it rained day 2, so that had gotten really dirty. And I had I think it was a 2.5 at like 9:30 in the morning in the back of a pocket with some trees come up, and like it charged it, but it turned at the last second, and it did it twice with this one. So I thought, wow, if it's doing that and it's that aggressive, the action's right, their profile's right, just the color may be off. So I real quickly switched to this one with a little bit of flash, and I didn't get a follow. So I thought, well, that one's completely wrong because he's not interested. So that's when I decided that this is probably the correct one. It's not that bright, distinct white. It's more of a muted white with a broken up pattern. And I fished it the rest of the day, and that's what I was getting bit on. I was behind Chris, in front of Chris. It was bananas. Wow. How much they wanted to chew this thing.
That's crazy. It looks more like a perch. That's amazing that you were able to get so many bites doing that technique. That's a West Coast technique, right? That doesn't win tournaments, just to let you know. It's usually a recipe for getting really big bites and then having a disaster of a day. You managed to get the tournament won in 3 days doing that big fish technique.
Yeah, well, I developed a different, or at least I don't know if I've developed it, but I've applied a different concept. So these bite-sized ones, these 6-7 inch glide baits, will attract the average tournament size fish. I've got some larger ones here, like this Gancraft 230 that's 9 inches long, or like this one, the Depths 250, which is like the staple for Mondo glide bait fishing. Those will draw fish, but like you said, they get more followers than they do get fish committers, so they're good search baits. These smaller ones, I think, are the ones fish are more apt to eat, or the tournament size that you're looking for. So that's what you hear a lot of people doing well at Lake Havasu or Diamond Valley or some of these West Coast lakes, or even up north on Lake Shasta. They're throwing the smaller bite-sized baits to catch them, but the larger ones to find them. And I think it seems like that applies East Coast just as well as West Coast, because fish are fish. They just want to eat whatever's easiest, I think.
Matt, if you had one glide bait.
It'd be the Gancraft 178. It costs 2 to 3 times more than the River to Sea, the S Waver, but it's the finish that you're paying for. And I value the finish on these, and it has just a little bit softer glide. It's not as hard and fast like a jerk bait would be.
Okay.
And they're roughly about $70. So you held up about $5,000 worth of glide baits in this demonstration.
Yeah. Well, this and flying planes are my passions in life. So this is what I do.
Yeah, I think it paid off for him, Pete. And however much it was worth, he won himself a brand new boat. So
that's a fact.
I call that good money.
Are you going to fish from the back of it?
Fish?
Say again?
No, are you going to fish from the back of it?
So I had to sell that boat that I won because I didn't have the space in my garage, and I'd had to buy a larger truck to use it. But I emailed Gary Klaus and thanked him for providing the boat, and let him know that I really like the quality, and I fished out of a lot of Phoenixes as a co-angler, even back when I lived in New Mexico. My buddy there had a brand new 921, but I told him the next one that I win, I'll be keeping it, but right now it just wasn't the right time for us to keep it.
Understood.
To your question, Pete, I actually learned or got exposed through your Bass U programs, right? You have a glide bait section, and I reviewed those, and then I have a friend here that took me out and showed me how to use some of the smaller glide baits 3 weeks ago. We went to Lake Parrish down south, and about the fourth cast, I was twitching it along just to learn how to use it, and I asked him to look down. And as I was saying that sentence and he looked down, about a 3-pound largemouth came up and ate it. So I caught my first fish on the glide bait 3 weeks ago. And here we are now.
Oh my!
Are you kidding me? God,
No.
that happens fast. I know we have Halanik talks about glide baits, and Carl Jacobson has some glide bait seminars.
We had Paul Bailey on, Paul Big Bait Bailey. He
that's right.
He really went deep on glide baits with us on the live show here.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. I appreciate the shout out, and it's so awesome. And I feel humbled that guys are watching our content and learning and winning with it. So that's super cool. And you mentioned that you fly planes, and I just want to thank you for your service. You're in the Navy. I don't know much about what you do other than you briefly told me that you fly planes for the Navy. That's amazing. Tell me more about what you do.
So my plane, let's see, it's kind of like the U-2, so the Navy's version of the U-2. And I spent most of my time in the Middle East fighting ISIS, and then a little time in Africa, and a little time in Europe, a little time in Asia, and a little time in South America. So in my 4 or 5 years that I've been flying for the Navy, I've covered the whole world. But yeah, it's not so much dropping bombs and shooting people. It's more figuring stuff out.
I got you. I get scared when I fly. Do you?
Only when they're shooting back at me.
I have a feeling that you don't get spun out too easily by 2 o'clock in the day when you don't have a keeper fish in the box. It seems like you might be able to keep things in perspective pretty well.
Yeah, I've developed a few coping habits to keep it, because but it's all good.
I thank you so much for your service.
Yeah,
I
for
appreciate you and
you're
what
welcome.
you do.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, you bet. I'm gonna I fished a tournament once in Lake Ontario in 10-foot waves, and I was worried about my partner getting scared in the big waves because I'm comfortable in big waves, scared to death to fly. I don't know why that is, but I asked him if he's ever been in big waves like that, and he goes, well, not in the bass boat, but in Vietnam, I was on an aircraft carrier in the South China Sea, and we were in a hurricane, and we were taking waves over the bow of the aircraft carrier. And I said, all right, you're my man. Let's go. So we went out through 10 to 12-foot waves at Lake Ontario. It was no problem. But that's amazing. It's amazing win. Congratulations. And, man, you're in the Navy now. What's next for you? You've done everything. You graduated college. You're in the Navy. You've won a massive tournament. What are you doing next?
So my wife and I are actually figuring that out. So I work a part-time job also to pay for my fishing, but then I'm also taking an online master's degree in digital and multimedia marketing through Liberty University, where I got my undergrad from. So the marketing master's degree is kind of a backup to flying and to see where I fit in the fishing industry or just industry in general, because I like helping people and I like figuring out why people do what they do and buy what they buy. So we're exploring different options on where we're going to end up. I'm always going to fly and I'm always going to fish. It's just figuring out how that mixes in with family life, and what my wife and I and how we want the future to look is what we're at.
Man, well, that's fantastic, and the future is yours. I got a feeling the folks at Phoenix Boats may be calling you up to see if they can get you into a new Phoenix next year.
Well, hopefully so. They're really nice boats.
Yep, and they are really nice boats.
Did you ever
Shout
do
out to
aerobatics?
Gary and Therese over there.
Matt, this is Brian. Do you ever do aerobatics? Have you been up in a smaller plane?
So I have. So the basic trainer for the military services is the T6 Texan.
Yeah, the Texan, Texas trainer.
If I remember correctly, I think it's 400 or 500 horsepower. But anyway, you can do anything you want to. It's a Ferrari of small aircraft, ejection seat, and I've done it all: aileron rolls, loop-de-loops, clover leafs. You go through a whole syllabus in initial flight training where that's all you do for a few months.
Yeah, it's my brother's a pilot, private pilot, and he's got a Great Lakes biplane. So I've been up with him in the open cockpit biplane doing loops and rolls, and
nice.
It's pretty wild.
You do any hammerheads?
I probably didn't. I can't handle it. I can't handle the G's. It kills my head, dude. It was like amazing. And then get me to the ground. You know what I mean? It's like awesome rush. And, all right, I'm going to throw up. Get me the hell out of this thing. So I don't know if we did any hammerheads. I know that's, he does all that shit. But we did, just simple loops and rolls. Yeah, airline rolls and loops, outside loops.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it's really cool, dude. Watching the world go around.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, I'd rather be throwing a glide bait.
Yeah, Pete's going to throw his first glide bait this coming year, 2021.
It works. It works. I'll tell you. So I'm from Virginia, and I grew up fishing Smith Mountain Lake with night tournaments with my uncle. And that's
a Clearwater lake.
It is. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to take these techniques that I've learned out west, up in Washington State, and down here there yet, but they'll play.
Yeah.
Even down in Florida, there's opportunities to fish these things and these techniques.
Yeah, I just started messing around with them this year, throwing the S Waver and
Talk about Smith Mountain Lake. Big shout out to a friend of the show, Billy Coles, just weighed in 24.8 on Smith Mountain Lake with an 8-pound, 15-ounce kicker.
Yep.
Whew.
It's giant.
They got good
Smith
ones.
Mountain has got big fish in it. It's got big largemouth and smallmouth in it.
It does.
Yeah, that's a tremendous lake. I wish they would send us back there again on the tournament trail. We haven't been there for a while. but I imagine it sounds like you might be coming home there someday. And
maybe there may be opportunity for me to move to Norfolk next, or overseas somewhere, Spain or Japan. I kind of figured that out in the next 6 months where we're going to live next. So either way, I'll be fishing, but it's where it's at in the world, I'm not sure yet.
Well, Spain's got some bass in it, and we've got some subscribers over there. And so you're in the Navy. How long are you going to stay in the Navy? Do you know that?
I want to keep flying some more, and I'm 33 now. So at least another 2.5, 3 years until my initial contract is up. Mm-hmm. And maybe a few more years after that just to get a little more flight experience. But there's a chance we could do 20 years if the circumstances are right for a family life. But more than likely, I'll be transitioning out doing some type of marketing or fishing or flying position on the outside.
My nephew's in the Navy, and he's out west, and I guess he's 8 years in now, and I think he's about done. You know, he's married and kids, and his options for, you know, the next re-up are not really family friendly. So he's probably moving on out.
Yeah, it's a decision. It's a personal decision, a family decision, and what you're okay with, what you and your wife and your kids are okay with. Wife and I don't have any kids
up in the north, you know, the northwest where he's at. So
yeah, there's a few hippies out here.
I think he's had it with them.
Yeah.
Well, tell me. We talked briefly about your hat, and I think it's really cool. Tell me, because you wore this during the tournament. Tell me about the hat you're wearing.
I did. So I lost my regular fishing hat from the squadron that I came from. So 2 months ago, I got an email or something. It's an automated email from Tony Robbins. It's a self-help guru. And my wife and I are big into following and doing his courses and reading what he puts out. And he partnered with this company. It's called Black Clover. And it's just these hats in different colors with a clover leaf, but underneath the brim, it says "Live Lucky," and I insert "blessed," so live blessed. And I figure it's a good motto to live by. It's been working for the last couple months. I've been doing well fishing. Life is blessing me and my family, so it's helping, I think.
Absolutely.
It definitely has. The carpenter wears a hat that says "Live Unlucky."
This is true.
We're gonna have to get you a new hat, BTC.
Yeah.
We'll have to get you one of these. But man, thanks. Congratulations on the great win, man. That was amazing, and thanks for taking the time. It was so cool. We love the co-angler side of things because so many people that subscribe to Bass U are co-anglers. They love that part of the game and watch our shows and participate. So I appreciate that you took the time to come and share your story with us tonight, man. It's amazing win.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's truly an honor to be in touch with you guys because I spent years watching you from the outside. Now I get to talk to you face to face from a little bit of success that I've realized. So this truly is a blessing to finally be talking to you guys face to face and contributing what I've learned and know. There's opportunities for co-anglers to be successful. It's just applying information and thinking about fishing slightly different than the guy in the front does. And
you do be like Justin Kimmel.
Yeah, just do things slightly different. Like my idea with these glide baits was I needed something that draws fish to me because I knew from prior history last year of results, most people will probably be cranking or burning the bank. So I wouldn't have much time to drag a lure. I can't fish a crankbait behind a guy who's fishing the 8 to 12 foot depth zone on a bluff. I needed something, either a jerk bait, a swim bait, or a glide bait that pulls fish to me. And it worked.
Pete, I got to ask you. So
like
the night before, was it day 2 or day 3? We were in a group text with Justin, and he said, Pete, I saw something today. And he referenced, and you made the connection to El Salto and referenced the glide bait.
That's right.
So talk to me about that. What did Justin see?
Oh, about being down in Mexico. Because when we were down in Mexico at El Salto at Anglers Inn, shout out to Anglers Inn and Pete and Hannah Robbins. Justin brought out the glide bait, and it was tough. El Salto was like renowned as being one of the most amazing fisheries in the world. Ben, had you ever taken your show there?
No, I have not, but I'm a big bait guy, so I would love to do that. I'm actually designing a bait for 6 cents, a big glide bait. So this is something I want to do. I've talked to the Anglers Inn guys actually. I've had conversations with them. I just have not made it down there yet.
How far deep are you into the process?
It's finished and coming in probably February.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, a little bit of details on it.
Yeah. So the swim bait market's crazy. There's baits that are $250 to $500, and we wanted to make a production model that has the same refined characteristics and the same super wide glide that something like the Depth Slide Swimmer 250 has, except I think if you guys are familiar with 6 Sense lures, we can put some paint schemes on some baits that really aren't available with hardly any companies in the industry right now. So we want to combine those facets and put something out, and I think I can't really go into crazy details, but I'm going to say it's 9 to 10 inch glide bait that is as wide as the 250, and I think has better paint schemes, and we're going to retail it about $50.
All right. Got any on you?
Don't have any on me.
Oh, tomorrow.
I know.
The place has got them.
That's what I figured. I didn't bring them out, but
I got some, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it's exciting though. It's a cool process, and I'm ate up with the big baits. So, listening to the story here, I totally can relate, man. The smaller that river to sea, that 168 size, is a great bait for fishing cover and isolated pieces of cover and drawing fish out of stuff like that. Whereas from the back of the boat, you don't get to make those long bomb casts and have those super wide glides with like the bigger the 250. You know this, or that big Gancraft. That 230 is a great bait to fish slow over big pieces of structure. Whereas in the back of the boat, you're more constricted, obviously, to a smaller casting space, and so big boulders, laydown, stuff like that was, you did the perfect thing to throw that 168 in the smaller Gancraft. That's an awesome bait. Those are, like you said, bite-sized baits that are still bigger than anybody else will throw, and these fish are just over the course of 3, 4, 5 days of practice and 3 days of tournament fishing, they're seeing so many jigs and Ned rigs and crankbaits that they see something a little bit different, and those big baits just draw the fish.
Yeah, that's exactly right. My day 2 partner, we had passed, and he had flipped his jig 5 times to this big laydown in the back of that first pocket, and then I made that one pitch. It wasn't even a pitch because it was probably 25 feet. Twitched it 3 times, and a 4.5 pound smallie smoked it right on the end of the tree. Like, the smallie was there looking at his jig and just never bit, but he reacted to that.
100%. Yep.
That's so dirty.
I've seen
dude.
this. This is amazing.
So dirty.
Yeah. It happened on day 3 too. I was catching them right beside the boat when my boater switched to a bullshad in a bright white color, and they would swirl on his bait, or he would bring them to me, and I would catch them right beside the boat, or back where the engine was. And you could see it. He was getting bothered because they would just swirl on his because it was too aggressive, and it was the bright white color. Yeah. And they didn't want the white color, and they didn't want that more aggressive action. They wanted something that worked like a spook slightly under the surface, and that's what the glide bait was doing.
Wow.
Well, that's what Kimmel saw, because down at El Salto, he got on a bluff and he threw a glide, and he caught some of the biggest fish he caught that week doing that. And the bluffs that he was seeing his pros were taking him to looked just like the bluffs at El Salto. So that was what he was talking about on his text.
So Justin told us he was going into day 3 and he was going to chuck the glide bait.
Yep. And that's what his intention was, but
I don't think he had the right partner.
Well, I don't know if he had the right partner, but the glide bait requires a commitment, and you don't get the feedback that you'll get on other techniques right away.
No, Matt was getting it right away. Dude, they followed him to the boat. They were jumping in. I just listened to the whole thing.
No, it's good to get that feedback, absolutely. But what I love that Matt said, and it's something that is incredible, is his ability to change different colors, because that's one of the hardest things with a glide bait is you spend a lot of time throwing the bait and not getting any feedback from the fish, and then you get a follower and you just chalk it up to, oh, they're not eating a glide bait that well that day. Well, Matt took it to the next level, and he said, no, they weren't reacting just right to this certain color, and so we kept switching colors. And that's something that's really, really tough to do, is to switch up colors, let alone baits with the glide bait, and that adjustment is huge, man. That's major props to you on that.
Yeah, like I said, they would follow it, and if you get the action right, they'll come out and look at it. If you get the color right, they'll come out and either swirl on it or T-bone it. You need the combination of the two. If you got one of the two, you'll get some type of feedback, and then just kind of determining what it was, and then seeing what other tools you have, what other colors you have, you can kind of tweak it to figure out what it's going to take to get them. Whether it's a slightly different twitch, like a jerkbait cadence, a slightly different color, like is what it was in this experience. They didn't want the bright white. They wanted something slightly subdued, but not flashy. It's just tweaking until you get it right. But getting that feedback is key, like you said.
That's awesome.
Matt, I got a question for you from the message board over here. Mike O on the message board wants to know: do you use a split ring on the front of your glide bait when you're throwing it?
So like everything in bass fishing, it depends. So each glide bait has a slightly different action, and I'll show you just because I have the ones that I use here. This Depths 250, I have that big owner hyperwire split ring, just because the fish that you catch on this are going to be mondos, and they'll pull out or wear out anything else. The one out with the little S waver, it glides better with a clip. So I think this is a decoy clip, but just these S wavers glide better with the little clip on them. The one I caught them on day 2, the Gancraft, it works better with direct 2. So no clip at all, just direct 2, and it'll make it glide, and then it'll kind of nose down slightly. And then when it'll glide and nose down slightly. If you put a clip on it, it tends to roll more, and it doesn't look right. Or at least the fish don't seem it looks right. But you just have to play with it. But in my experience, manipulating with a clip or not a clip is based on what bait, how the bait will swim when you twitch it.
That's interesting because we talked about this BTC, and this is the co-angler advantage. Well, I don't. It's hard because as the pro, as the boater, right? You're moving the boat. You're concentrating on trying to get the boat around fish. You're trying to figure out that process. But as a co, you have the luxury of changing colors, changing things, fishing in that box. Like, okay, here's the set of parameters I have. Let me keep adjusting until I find the bite. And that's what you seem to do in that scenario. And that's what Justin does. Justin does the same thing. He carries 5 different color worms in his pockets and constantly rotates through colors and depth zones and, fishing in that space,
Yeah. When I get done with a day, if you look at the boat, I keep it contained, but typically the cup, if it's a hard bait, the cup holders in the console are full of hard baits. The floor is full of plastic worms, and I keep them contained in my side, but I'm constantly changing and tweaking just to figure out what fits the scenario based on the weather, the lake we're at, and what my boat is doing. How can I maximize a different part of the water column, fish for slightly different fish, even though they may not be the primary pattern or the predominant species right now, just something different so that I can catch the few that I need to do well.
Right. If you decide to sell your glides, you could expand your garage and fit the Phoenix in there.
No. So we'd have to move to expand the garage, and I don't think I'll ever be selling my glides. They're too hard to come by these days with COVID, right? I had to order some of these from Japan. I ordered them from different parts of the country. Like each tackle store only has 1 or 2 right now because everything's so hard to get. So
And you just started throwing a glide bait 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I did the crash course. I tried. I study as much as I can, and then I knew somebody, like I said here, who's fairly versed in it, who's lived out here. Eugene, my buddy Eugene I forget his last name because he's Japanese, but his name is Yuji. He helps all the other Japanese anglers get their boats over to Japan. And I befriended him at Castaic Lake one day. I just walked up to him and said, "Hey man, how you doing? You been catching any fish?" And we sparked a 1.5 year long friendship of he's teaching me West Coast techniques and I'm teaching him East Coast techniques.
Right
That's
on,
cool.
man. That's very cool.
Goes a long way when you got somebody to kind of show you the ropes on a technique.
Yeah, it helps a lot. Yeah. So I knew that he fished these glide baits, these Gan crafts, and he told me some specifics. And then, like I said, 4 casts into it, I caught one largemouth, about 3.5, and then a couple weeks later, here I am.
Wow,
man, oh man! Have you rolled any of those big ones out on the West Coast at Castaic? Have you seen any of that stuff?
I have not caught them, but like glide bait fishing is funny. Like you throw that big one, you get lots of followers. I've had, I'd say 12s, 13s, and 14s, a bunches of 6s and 7s come out and look at it. But if they get too close to the boat, they kind of, I don't know, they get so focused on the bait that they'll get close to the boat. But then when you go to twitch it, you can't reel anymore. Then they see that they're near the boat and they'll swim off. Because most people are throwing glides out here now, so they get a lot of pressure. So the conditions need to be exactly right for you to catch one, at least is what I'm found. But the coolest story that I have is I was throwing the 250 one day with my buddy on a bluff, and I twitched it, and it was a 5 or 4.5 5-pounder, something like that, came out with it, and I twitched it and got it to turn around, and it came up and kissed it right on the nose, like. And then I twitched it, and the 4 or 5-pounder just kind of peeled off. So I haven't caught it on the big ones. I've just caught fish on the medium size. But the big ones are great for finding fish. Like you find them with the big ones, and you can take any type of smaller lure, crankbait, jig, Cinco, your favorite, Pete. Pitch it back to those areas.
I blame you.
And catch those fish.
You mean you can't throw a Senko on that 12-pounder that followed your glide bait up and catch them?
You can, but it's not likely.
You can, but if you caught it, it would have been like 8 pounds. There's a 4-pound penalty for. Well, it's like a 30% penalty for catching on a Senko. Everyone knows this. Ben, back me up. Senko fish weigh 30% less.
That's correct.
Yep. IGAF record. FA.
Yeah. I dispute that nonsense.
Yeah,
it's an important tool.
and even Ben, I just take a second to thank you. I watched your video, the cheap versus expensive wiggle warts. And I bought a bunch of those Curve 55s to take with me because I saw that they didn't blow out as much when you cranked them faster. Yep. So I had them in the box, many of them to use if I had a chance to crank behind the pro.
Well, that's awesome, dude. That's a cool bait. It's I mean, like we talked about in that. That's an old video, so it's cool that you check that out. But yeah. Wigglewort style bait, tighter action though. Still got the hunting, dives a little bit shallower, and that's been a pre-spawn and winter staple in the Midwest for us.
Yeah. I see how it applies out here.
Yeah, so for sure.
I'll be using it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, man, thanks so much. Appreciate you coming and telling us the story, and best of luck. Thanks again for your service, and wish you best of luck in the future.
You're welcome. Like I said, it's a true honor for you guys having me on here. I'm glad to share what information I've learned. There's a bunch of West Coast guys out here that are so much better than me that are willing to share. Like the Cast and Crank podcast is a place that you can go where it's just West Coast guys talking West Coast techniques. And it's kind of small right now, but they're looking to grow. But there's tons and tons of great information on there. Like Butch Brown, Bill Seamantel, like all those guys kind of spill the beans on how they fish, what they do. The concepts behind it. It's where I picked up a lot of tips as well.
Matt, is Butch on that podcast?
Yeah. He did like a 3-hour sit down. It's kind of like this, where it's just guys just on a couch in a basement, just kind of shooting.
That's cool. Tell him thanks for not responding to my messages. I see you, Butch.
If I run into Steak, I'll see him.
Yeah, let him know.
Yeah.
Thanks, Butch, for nothing.
Yeah. Thanks, Butch. Thanks, Matt. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Matt.
Live lucky. Live lucky. I love it. And the best of luck. And, man, we'll see you at Bass U. Let us know. Give us some feedback on the things you like. Clearly, the most effective instructor at Bass U is Gluzak, but I'm sure the other guys are doing good too. And,
What's the best way to give feedback to you guys?
You can go on the forum. You can do it on Facebook, but we're gonna give you email. So just let us know what you think. Shoot BTC or the Riz.
Yeah, you got my number,
information.
bro.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it. BTC, I'll send you my email, and then any other guys, I'll just tell them, hey man, you need to get this.
Yeah,
I'm taking
and I'll
advantage
send you a
of
message to forward to Butch Brown. One for one.
I can do.
We'll send you out some Bass U swag to intermingle with your Live Lucky hat.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So,
Thank you, Matt.
thanks so much, man. Best of luck.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Thanks for
you.
having me, guys.
All right.
Congrats. Thanks, buddy.
It's a true pleasure.
Thank you. No, that was great. What a great win. What an unusual technique, using a West Coast technique.
Yeah.
Ben, you're all over this, man. You're designing baits for 6 cents. Man, I was surprised at your knowledge in this bait category.
Yeah, man. Big baits. I've been throwing for 6-7 years now, I guess it would be. Maybe longer than that even. But yeah, it's super addictive if you guys have done it at all. Seeing the feedback of a fish chasing something that's 8 to 12 inches long is incredible. And really, this last year I fished more tournaments this last year and a half, and I kind of, I guess, got away from specifically throwing the big baits. But before that, man, that's like I was just so addicted to it, and it gets to that point where you just keep getting more and more baits, and it's all you want to throw. And I can understand why people just go that route.
It's exciting, right?
You ever watch the Big Bait Posse?
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's a good one.
Good stuff, man.
That'll make you want to throw big baits for sure.
It does, yeah.
You're fishing for the biggest lake in the pond when you're throwing them.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, that's interesting stuff, and the Arashi glide, like I said, we have videos on Bass University TV, guys teaching us how to do it, and but it requires a commitment, One of the things I didn't ask him, he said he wasn't getting bit till 11 o'clock. I'm regretting this now, but he wasn't getting bit in the morning. He wasn't getting bit until middle part of the day. He commented that. And I wonder if that's a significant thing, throwing those big baits for the tournament.
Yeah, it can be. It definitely can be. A big part of the glide bait game too is visually being able to see your bait and how it's acting is huge. And obviously that can be hard until the sun gets a little bit higher in the sky a lot of times. And a lot of the big bait guys say that. Of course, you get more bites on these days when it's overcast and you got a front blowing through, it's cloudy or something. But the true giants, the biggest fish in your lake, are the smartest fish and take advantage of the best feeding period for them, which is when it's sunny, bluebird, and bright. And that's when, if you talk to a lot of the California guys, that's when a lot of the 13 to 20 pound fish get caught, is on the middle of the day and those super bright days.
Yep.
Those biggest fish in the lake will take advantage of that period and eat that big bait.
ETC, that's always when I catch my 13 to 20. Always.
That reminded me, Pete, you brought up the Storm Arashi, and I have a couple. And the colors on the finishes on them are so. There's especially this one that looks sort of like a yellow perch, but has no orange in it, which was very offensive to me. And there's a really cool product, and I meant to bring this in to shout it out, but Crank Wraps makes these wraps that you can change the finish on your bait like that. $4, whatever. It's pretty.
Those
dope.
are the deal.
They are, right?
Made by a dude that lives like 2 hours from me, Chancey Walters.
Chancey Walters.
Great dude.
He is a great dude.
Fisherman. He's a hammer, too.
Yeah.
But, the crank wraps are incredible for the glide baits.
Yep.
But my biggest thing is the jerk bait, because it's a visual bait. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to put a photo finish on like a crankbait or something that's whizzing by their face.
Sure.
But the jerk bait, I've seen it firsthand with Panoptics. twitching that bait next to a rock pile, a brush pile, whatever, and you can pull a fish out of it, and truly you're just like, well, my bait looks exactly like a fish. It has that crappie wrap on it, and it just sits there, and you can let it sit and sit and sit, and eventually they can't stand it and they'll eat it. It's 30, 40, 50 seconds sometimes. It's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's we met these guys a few years ago, interviewed them at ICAST, I believe, Pete, and it's a cool product.
I remember. I still have the product, and I've used it from time to time.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I just wrapped some of those storm baits.
Yeah.
Yep. That's very cool.
You think that would work on a chatterbait?
Yeah. Wrap it around the skirt.
Yeah.
Put it around the hook.
Wrap it around the hook.
I bet they make them for the blades, though. For the chatterbait, they should.
Yeah.
You know? People are.
Well, we have
changing
one
that
more
blade
trivia
pattern.
question we're going to hit. Richard?
Oh, my gosh. I forgot about the trivia question.
And Facebook like and share. And let's get that one out of here.
Tonight's grand prize trivia question provided to us by none other than Ken Duke. Who was the first woman to appear on the cover of the Bassmaster magazine? That is, who was the first woman to appear on the cover of the Bassmaster magazine?
Hey, Rich. There's a good chance that nobody gets this.
Yeah,
that's tough.
That's a really tough one.
I figured it would be.
Can I guess?
Can I say what my guess would have been? Kim Bain Moore.
Yeah,
but no.
No.
My guess was Penny Berryman.
That was mine, and no.
Let's give the message board a chance. I got faith in them.
All right, I got a
Wow.
clue for him in about 2 or 3 or 4 minutes.
What was the year that was done? Do we have that?
That would be
Ken probably.
1974.
74.
18 or 19?
1774.
1774. Yeah. Yeah.
I that was Rick Clunn's wife.
Which one? Whose wife?
The first one.
Rick Clunn and whose wife?
I can't imagine. Who was the first? I don't know. I have no idea. That's
But
a
we'll get
crazy
it soon
question.
because we gave him some solid clues. So,
Yep.
what
Ben,
else we got?
do you
Hey,
have Ben? Do you have on the YouTube channel? Do you have like sexy bikini girls coming on your channel from time to time?
Just my wife. She's on there. Yeah, we last time Becky was on the channel a while back, she wore breast pumps because she was pregnant. She just had the baby, and we had a babysitter that day, and she caught like a 25-pound bag while she was doing breast pumps.
I saw that picture, dude.
Craziest shit in the world.
That was
I
amazing.
don't know how it happened.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, and the day that we had my son 8 months ago, we went fishing. We knew we were gonna induce labor, and we went fishing that morning and cracked some bigs that morning. So, shout out to Becky. Not too many women to be out there doing that, I don't think.
That's pretty awesome. Man.
Oh, we have a winner. We got a winner.
Go ahead.
How about it? Pete Gluzak on the message board with the answer of Dima Martin, the wife of Tommy Martin, the 1974 Bassmaster Classic champ. Congratulations, Pete Gluzak.
That's beautiful.
Thank
Might
you.
be Dema Martin. I don't know.
Dima.
That'd be my guess. Dema. Yeah.
DIMA? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when Tommy had the big trophy, that's cool, man.
Tommy had the
Very
big
good.
trophy. Won the classic.
Hey, Becky fishes though. That's pretty cool, and it's really weird that your wife is named Becky and Becky is Becky Iaconelli.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
told
that's kinda
Becky
scary.
Iaconelli it was gonna be easy to remember her name. That's perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
But Becky doesn't fit. Well, she can fish, but does Becky like to fish? She's in. She loves it.
No, I wouldn't say she loves it. She's my biggest supporter, and so that's amazing. That's something we don't touch on enough, of course, is the support at home to be able to come randomly fly out to New Jersey and do stuff like this. But she enjoys being outdoors more than anything. So she's more of the type where she'll sit on the boat and kind of hang out and look pretty, and then when I start ripping a couple, and I'm like, here, you might want to make this cast, and then she starts ripping them. Usually better than I can. So
That's great. That's awesome. Riz is looking for a girl just like that.
What's that?
You're looking for a girl just like Becky.
That's right. I'm actually taking applications at the Bassmaster Classic at Lake Ray Roberts in Texas. You can come find me at the Bass University booth or at the bar after 5 p.m.
That's right.
I'll be there.
Yep.
Rich is a little competitive,
right.
so just so this girl knows, she's in a tournament every time.
Bass University Live, better than Tinder.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to Keith Carson.
Yes.
I met Keith at the ICAST 2019. He's a buddy of John Cox. I fished with Keith and John in the ICAST Cup and Hunter Shryock. It was the four of us out there. Had a great time. Keith's an awesome dude. He just won the Open on Lay Lake this past weekend, and he's going to be fishing the Classic when they ever have one.
Smokes.
Probably. Maybe we'll see.
March, June, September.
July.
One of
It's
those
happening.
months. Yeah, one of those months.
Yeah. And again, a shout out to Matt Robertson. Big fan. Qualified for the elites.
Yep.
He's taking it up. He's in.
Congratulations.
Brian New won AOY for the
Brian
Eastern
New.
for the Bassmaster Eastern Opens.
Yeah.
He's going to be on the elites. No surprise there. He'll be at the Classic as well because he won the first Open of the year.
He's a hell of an angler.
He's
Started
another
out
one
in the back of the boat.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's awesome. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
We have a Facebook
for
like
watching.
and share first.
Last thing, Pete, and then we're out.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rich. Who do we got?
Tonight, our Facebook like and share winner is, if I can get it through the program here, it's running just a little bit slow. The Facebook like and share winner for tonight's feed is Jared Kemper. Congratulations, Jared Kemper. You are the winner for
Jared.
tonight's $50 Tackle Warehouse gift card. Congratulations.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Clark Wendlandt. Thank you, Matt Greene, for taking the time and coming and hanging out with us. Thank you so much, Ben, for being with us tonight.
Yes.
We had a great time. Appreciate you being part of the program, and a lot of fun hanging out with you.
So
tonight.
cool being on here. Full circle. 10 years ago, sitting in the audience, watching you guys, just trying to fill my brain with this knowledge, and it's crazy to see how far you guys have come with it, and now being right down here, and then we'll see you guys again on Friday on Ike Live. I'm jacked.
Yes. It's crazy to see how old we all got, right?
Yeah, I was really surprised how old you guys look.
Damn it. I know. I look like Santa Claus. I know. But
shout out to Ken
but I
Duke's brain for providing
shout out
that
to Ken
information
Duke.
tonight.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yep.
And appreciate all you guys watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, go over to bashu.tv, get yourself hooked up, become a better angler. It's all available for you over there, no matter what you're looking to learn over at bashu.tv. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I'm Pete Gluzak for Bass University TV.
It's Mike
Good night,
Iaconelli.
everybody.
This is Bass U TV.
Here's what's awesome about Bass U TV.
You get the top instructors.
You will learn things at Bass U that you will learn nowhere else.
And we help you build confidence with new techniques.
We take the mystery and the myths out of bass fishing.
Real tools that help you catch more fish consistently.
At Bass U TV, shoes are optional.
And I like turtles.
We teach you to enjoy bass fishing.
And that's why you want to check out Bass U TV.
Join the Bass U family.
Welcome to Bass U TV.